question me. Back with a vengeance, no limits, no jokes to me. Hopefully, you can see we too sad.
He hooks himself back in. They want it. Kizzy's not here, and a pentakill. Second, they'll find a second. Chippy is on an absolute tear right now.
Welcome back, Chiefs up against Mammoth. It is our second best of 3 for today, and also in our playoffs week. Guys, the first one went 2-0. I'm just going to ask it straight up right now. What are the odds that we get to see 3 games for this one?
Pretty slim.
Oh, nice.
It's a great question. Now you might have to wait till predictions to find out what we think. Huh?
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much.
Save that for predictions, maybe.
Rusty. I'll put that one in the back pocket then. Instead, we can deep dive. Tensions are a bit high here after the household hassle. Apparently, some people didn't quite favor the points that they landed on.
Got some revenge on the host.
All right, apparently so. Cool. So the Chiefs roster here.
Oh my God, I quit.
Maximize, please take us away and have a chat about the fact that they are going to be sticking with Kevy for their starting lineup, despite the fact that he played in for tiebreakers and they didn't win it against Bliss.
That's the interesting thing, right? And is this Chiefs actually taking a stance and saying this is the direction we're planning to go for the entire playoffs, right? Like, he did play in that tiebreaker you mentioned. It was a loss.
Yep.
He didn't come up with the great results, but that being said, I think he still does. The Chiefs look better when he is playing just because he provides that extra carry threat alongside Kisei. That being said, there are certainly deficiencies that we have seen with the Chiefs if they're not able to get started early. If he's on something like a Maokai, he's just not looking his best. And that raises questions about how the Chiefs are going to look with Kevy in the starting lineup tonight.
Yeah, I think for Chiefs in particular, right? Like, one of the losses that we did see them suffer was at the hands of the Blitzcrank, like you're seeing in these highlights. But the real reason was they pressured bot lane, they pushed Raze out of the game. We've seen Chiefs go internationally and lose because Raze gets pushed out of the game with successful bot dives. So I feel like there's, like, if you've been watching the tape, there has been now recipes that have been reiterated for the Chiefs in ways that they can lose. And so, you know, for Chiefs, they've got a lot of strengths. They've been almost infallible for the first half of this split, but the fact that those cracks are showing means they have to be really particular with how they play out.
Yeah, those cracks showed against PGG and then obviously against Team Bliss when Chiefs did come up against Mammoth in the past. So it was that very commanding 2-0 that they got over them. So it does beg the questions now that after a few cracks, after faulting a little bit more, how open does the field look for Mammoth to be able to slide in, at least be able to take, you know, one game off or put up a really good fight and make these a back and forth game?
Well, to me, Mammoth's been a team that's been on the up and up in terms of their trajectory for basically this entire split. I think the last couple of weeks they've looked very good. To me, Dajong is the main standout for someone who's elevated his own gameplay. And as a whole, the teams look better, right? So yes, it was a very one-sided affair the last time these two teams met, but I think Mammoth have done a whole host of improvements that would make this actually a lot closer than you would think.
Yeah.
Something that changed up in that patch 13.12 as well that comes to mind is Suli, the champions that he was able to pick up for himself, the way that he was able to play some of them, because his whole sort of thing when he came into this split was that he wanted to play as a carry, that he would be that win condition. In that patch of 13.12, a lot of champions fit that for him. Is it going to be the same in 13.13, or do you think they're going to have to try and find a little bit more of a reshuffle as Mammoth compared to other teams?
Wouldn't be too surprised if he just stuck to his guns and played what he's been good at this entirety, right? If he was to, you know, still have this proficiency with the AP carries and look to try and hyper farm up and rely on his laners to bridge that gap for him. I think, yes, jungle's going to be definitely a very interesting point of contention. I think for me, what I'm actually most interested about, apart from bot lane, is top lane, because I think last time they went up against each other, Tien got a little bit bored at times. I think his combined KDA over both games was, what, like 2 and 13? So, yeah, finishing one game 1-6, another game 1-7. I think if he doesn't get too bored in lane, if he actually shows the level of dominance, which he's done in the last few weeks, where he's proxying waves, where he's getting out of unescapable situations. If he's able to apply enough pressure towards Biopanther, he doesn't get that cruisy macro sense, which has usually been Chief's big strength.
I think that comboed with the fact that Sully, though, has shown personal growth and, like, doesn't have to just be the Karthus, will also play the Poppy, right? And play utility for the team is the most important thing here. Because forcing things that don't work can make it very awkward in draft phase, which means gameplay can be just as bad and they suffer from that. But like, if Tan wants to carry and Sully says, okay, I'll let you carry, that's already improvements from just drafting phase, let alone the gameplay.
Oh yeah, you talked about the fact that this jungle is going to be a point of contention when it comes to champions, how much emphasis is going to be played on the solo lanes for them. So we've got a bit of a treat. We've got Kevy joining us, Chiefs starting jungler. Kevy, Hey, I want to talk and start off with a bit of a tougher question is, the fact that you guys have been subbing yourself and Babip in and out. You unfortunately played for tiebreakers and lost it. Do you think that's affected you, or is there any reasoning behind Chiefs now doubling down and going for you in the starting lineup here against Mammoth?
I wouldn't say the loss affected us too much. I think like we all played kind of bad. Like I wasn't feeling particularly good that day, but we just went back into scrims and based on like those performances and the coach's decision, like I'm playing again, so I'll do my best and we'll see what happens.
Awesome.
And I guess on that note, what have been your focuses coming into the playoffs against a team like Mammoth?
I mean, I don't want to like talk too much about like draft or anything, but obviously last time we versed them, like it was very one-sided. I think they've improved a lot. Like Suli's playing more utility champs. Their bot lane, like Yasan is playing really well, Chaeyeon's playing really well, and Dajong had some good performances. So like, we're not underestimating them by any means, but yeah, I think we'll win.
And speaking to your jungle matchup a little bit, you and Sully kind of have these niche, unique champion pools where you are willing to pick stuff like the Karthus, like the Evelyn. Can you speak to us a bit about that jungle matchup today and what you're expecting it to look like?
I mean, I do think Sully is now playing more like facilitating champs. Like, he tried the Karthus, it didn't really work out, so he's trying to be more realistic. So I don't know, like if we'll see too many spicy picks. Like I don't know what they've prepared, but yeah, we're kind of ready for anything.
And you don't think the patch, the fact that you guys are playing on 13.13 is going to weigh as much of a factor in and have not necessarily spicy picks, but changes in the jungle for the two of you?
I wouldn't say there's too many changes in the jungle. Like obviously static was nerfed, but like most of the nerfs this patch like didn't really change anything, so I wouldn't like expect too much difference from last patch.
Too easy. Well, hopefully no difference for you guys as the last series. Hopefully you guys still take the 2-0 and good luck.
Thank you.
Nice to hear from Kevy. I know Rusty really wanted to know more about like if that Kevlin was going to be coming out. That's specifically what he was fishing for.
Yeah, I just want to see AP junglers though from him. Like I'm happy with the Dyna Yasuo from Kisei and Kevy as well.
That'd
right?
be nice.
That is something that they are both elite at, right? So I'd love to see things like that. But I'm happy with carries from Kevy, and that's what he's been playing so far. Might just be Viego again. More Viego.
Tien runs it back, displays like Lilia top, and then we've gone full circle.
Nostalgia.
That would be nostalgia.
hype.
That would be hype.
I feels like forever ago.
Yeah.
I won't lie. Are you guys worried though that we've been able to?
Always.
Oh, do you want to talk about it?
Not on.
Not enough.
Okay,
yeah.
not right now. All right. Well, then I'll ask
That's
about the
a
game. Are you guys worried about if Fire Panther is going to have that priority again from Kevy, and is Tien going to be able to stand up to that?
Well, I think that's actually a really good point, right? Because Tien is so used to being able to play basically however he wants, and I think against Bio, a lot of top laners have sort of unconsciously developed that mindset where they're like, okay, he's never getting ganked. Kevy's shown that he is willing to do that, and if he gets bored, he could get punished.
You know what I would love to see from them is
What?
Lee Sin top. Tien is the one person in this whole world who will just slam Lee Sin with no issues.
Yeah.
I think he's a very confident player as well. So if it comes back in a meta and Sully plays it, it suddenly flex.
I mean, you got to play into like Nartho or something. Like, it sucks into like every tank ever.
Yeah.
Well, look,
But if Nar gets picked.
Tien might have been listening because we do have him on the line for an interview here. So we could just straight up ask Tien, any chance of a Lee Sin top? Are you going to give us that information away?
I think that, I mean, anytime if I'm feeling a little bit too bored, I will definitely lock Lee Sin in. Like, if I don't think Biopanther is showing up very good on the day, I'll be like, yeah, guys, pick me Lee Sin. I want to kick Quinn into our team. It's gonna, yeah.
So
At a moment's notice, I can pick it.
That's it. The chance is always there. How are you feeling going up against Fire Panther? Are you nervous about potentially the ganks that could come that way, or are you like, we're just gonna have this 1v1, might even get a couple solo bowlers on him?
I mean, all of 5 Chiefs players have gone to an international event. No one on our team has, so definitely is not looking great for us. Not gonna lie. In terms of getting ganked, I mean, even if I'm like 0-3, I don't really care because Biopanther, although he's very good at being stable and not dying to ganks, the difference between 3-0 Bio and 0-0 Bio, I'm more scared of the 0-0 Bio.
All right. I like what confidence was shining for a moment there.
Yeah, now I guess speaking to your previous affair versus the Chiefs, obviously didn't go how you guys wanted to. What's changed in your eyes that's going to lead to a different outcome this time?
Maybe my bot jungle won't lose a 3v3 at 4 minutes in the game and the game become unplayable. That would be a great start.
That's a good point. Are there any other things you're targeting in prep versus the Chiefs that you could potentially exploit?
Maybe me not getting as bored in game would definitely be something to boost our chances against the Chiefs.
So do you think it's more, I guess, you guys beating yourselves than the Chiefs actually beating you?
Yeah, I think if we definitely play our own disciplined game and use our brains and put our thinking caps on, we can definitely beat the Chiefs.
Well, look, that's got me excited for it, team. Thank you so much for the information and for the interview. Good luck for today.
Thank you.
They're the worst own enemies by the sound of it.
Always a good interview.
Tian's just there in his 9 to 5 listening to David Goggins getting yelled at, trying to find out.
Carry the boat!
He's like, I don't get paid enough for it. Do you know the meme of the cats? How one of the cats is just staring off into like nowhere while the other one's like yelling at it? You haven't seen it, have you?
No.
This joke has fallen so flat. Anyway, keep continuing to talk about anything else.
I really summarized it, David Goggins. I think he just needs to stay focused. Tian should consider 10-kilometer runs.
They should do team
I don't think
runs with
anyone
drag
should
food.
consider that.
Everyone should consider 10-kilometer runs.
All right. Well, instead we can
Bring
factor in and
big
take
old Swips back in.
consideration
It's
of the
about
side
flow
select.
state, Nat. It's about flow state. If you can't achieve flow state, then you're always going to be in and out of the game and you're never going to hit your peak.
I think I do that. Because I'm going to flow state back to side select here. Chiefs coming in with the higher seeding. Pick up blue side for themselves.
Well, the logo is blue in it, and they've chosen blue side. The studio is blue. It was a match made in heaven.
That would be flow state to Max's opinion.
Yes, I mean, no surprises here, really. Given what we saw last game, that Kaiser and Jace were basically must ban, and then you add a LeBlanc on top of that, right? You've almost got your ban set out on red side straight away. So we always talk about the increased freedom the blue side gives you, and I think that particularly when you're drafting against a team like Mammoth, who has shown so many niche picks, having that extra bit of flexibility can certainly help.
We got our Dare fan vote as well. If Max has told you on why he thinks Chiefs picking up blue side is going to be that big buff for them, then you can use your channel points above that Dare fridge over in the right-hand side for you guys. That's where you can place those channel points and have your say on who's going to be taking game number 1.
Remember that question that you put on a shelf? at the start? Yeah.
I'm going to pull it off the shelf now.
Yeah.
I'm going to re-ask it. And we're going to see our predictions. We're going to see if anyone has faith in this one going 3 games. Oh, would you look at that? I have faith in this going 3 games.
Tell me why.
Oh, no, instead we'll see. Max and Skimmy don't. Please, Rusty at least. Yes. I knew Rusty would be that with me.
If that was a 2-0 and Nat had to justify,
man.
that could have been comedy.
Yeah, funny. Rusty, reasonings why
Cool.
you think.
Hilarious.
Good
Tell.
one.
So I think that Mammoth are volatile enough with enough individual skill that like any player on that team can actually 1v5 a game if they get fed. They all play carries. They all have the capabilities of winning their lanes. I'm not saying with this prediction, because I still went for Chiefs, I'm not saying Mammoth are definitively a better team, but for sure, in every series that Mammoth plays in a best of, they can take 1 game, if not the whole series. They just need to be able to string wins in a row, which they aren't very good at doing. What are you laughing at?
I found
You
the
don't
cat
wanna
meme.
It's not going to work.
It's the cat. It's like another cat just like yelling at it, and it's just like staring off and being like, what the hell? Anyway.
So
Look, Rusty, mate, there's a really good point about why Memphis could win, but cat. Cat, kitten,
that's a really good counterpoint. I hadn't
Uni.
considered
No, see, I would agree with your...
my little leech.
I would agree
Thank
with
you
your
so
point.
much, my scuttle crab.
Zone in. David Goggins.
Yes,
I
bro.
would agree with your point that Mammoth are volatile enough they can take
Yeah.
a game.
Yeah.
But I think Chiefs are so good at being stable.
Yeah.
And I think that they're not going to make those opportunities. Tien talked about in his interview, Bio Panther never dies to ganks. If it doesn't happen this time, then Tien's just going to go even maybe a tiny bit ahead in lane. To me, it's going to come down to team fighting. And I think mid lane, Kisei is just going to out-execute Darjang, and that's going to be the difference maker.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to say yes. I want to say consistency, and maybe this is a recency bias against Chiefs. But there's been many moments where these Kisei flanks haven't worked out, and whilst yes, that was predominantly against Team Bliss, I think it's just someone that like showcases the first time of doing it, being like these are certain ways in which you can counter it, these are certain ways in which you can react to it, that teams now have that pool to look at to be like, this is possible for us. Like, it's just the door sort of opens for them. And again, it really could be recency bias, but I do think a lot of those things fail for Chiefs.
Like, also, what is successful for Mammoth to beat the things that failed for Chiefs, right? So, like, Yosun can play Blitzcrank, surely. He's an Alistar gamer, right? He's a hyper-aggressive player. That's a really good way to generate leads. If you have a lead in bot lane, suddenly Mammoth can play the rest of the map more successfully. I just, like, it's not always about like Chiefs having mistakes that allow you to do things. When you're an aggressive team like Mammoth, you can create mistakes by being chaotic yourself, which was like Bliss Direwolves game 2, right? It was just a series of chaotic moves that opened the floor to Bliss to just wipe them up with their comp, which certainly can be created by Mammoth in a similar way. That's what I'm expecting anyway.
It comes back to that whole, like, they are their own worst enemies at certain times.
That being said, though, they have shown over-aggression. Like, to me, Mammoth is a team that they want to pull the trigger, and if they don't, sometimes they will pull it regardless of the outcome, and they've shown that multiple times on mid-lane dives. So it's going to come down to whether they can actually pull it at the right times. That'll be key.
Yeah. Before we do jump into Champ Select or anything of the sorts, we have Kenga's prediction. So we asked our team...
Someone
Our
on
team
Kanga's
Kanga,
trolling.
I know, I kind of have to laugh at this one because we asked them for their prediction as well for the Bliss Direwolf series that we just had earlier today. And what it is, it's the 5 players, so it's not games or anything like that. It is 4 players on Kanga believe Chiefs will take this one, and there is 1 player that believes Mammoth. Now, we don't know who that player is, and we don't know if it's the same
Here
player
comes the
that
guessing game
believe...
now.
Arbitrary name.
Which player?
Shinky.
I'm going to say...
I would say it's Shinky.
It's probably Shinky.
I'm
You
going
reckon?
to say...
Bit of a
I'm going to
deviant.
say it's Jake. He's just going to try and...
Oh,
upset
he's
the
going
apple
for the
cart.
underdog?
I just reckon Jake would be someone to set
Jake
up like
loves
that.
a good gauntlet run.
Yeah.
Jake loves a good gauntlet run.
Yeah.
He's done that many times.
Okay. Sorry, I just got told in my ear who it was, and I was just trying to decide whether I actually
is it?
tell you or not. And
Come on.
If I
Was it
wanted-
the same person for both series?
I
that
believe
predicted
so, yes. So maybe a little bit of a troll.
But
stuff.
you're not only not telling us now, you're also not telling
Yeah.
the
Oh,
viewers.
it was Mayfun.
It was May fun.
Really?
May
Apparently.
fun.
Wow.
Interesting.
No. Oh,
Says a lot,
gossiping over
May
here.
fun.
Oh, that's
So does he really believe in, you know?
Yeah.
I reckon he's going for that 1%er. He's just like, everyone else believes in these people, and no one's really going to look at you and be like, ha, you picked a Mammoth, but you get it right, and Mammoth win. My God, do you have absolute
He wants to be that
gloating.
day one believer.
That's it.
I'm with him on that.
Yeah.
No sacrificing a Twitch points for that one either. It's
No.
just a free
Yeah.
underdog story.
He's a
Yeah.
fan of the underdog for sure.
Oh, that's pretty
Respectable.
good. Did you guys want to give any more information on why you did the 2-0 prediction? We heard from Max, we heard from Rusty, myself.
Yeah, look, I think as much as I've been a really big fan of the Mammoth hype train, I've been singing their praises about the upset potential of being a dark horse, and they definitely have gone from strength to strength, especially now bringing in all the extra coaching staff. I just think looking at that last series, the fashion in which they lost it in an identical fashion, basically, but with 2 different junglers playing as well, but nothing really changed on the receiving end. I think Chiefs just look a little bit too, convincing to force anything crazy. I think they could just apply a bit of pressure on the map, and then, if Mammoth aren't prepared for it, if they get in their heads a little bit too much, perhaps, as Max said, get a little bit too aggressive, suddenly you're creating too many mistakes yourself.
You know what the crazy thing is all the way back in week 2, Mammoth went 1-1 with Bliss. And then we see Bliss go 1-1 with Chiefs, obviously then end up taking it in tiebreaker. So there is this question to be asked of how similar can Mammoth hit in terms of skill level? You know, you're able to all the way back in week 2 before this progress of the past 6 weeks you came underneath your belt, you guys were able to take that off Team Bliss, who then ended up being the first seeded team. So it's just one of these things like what happened on that day that you weren't able to replicate the week after against Chiefs, and are you able to then pull it out again today?
I mean, to me, the thing on paper is it's never an issue of skill, right? When you look at these players, I think that they are more than fit to win the league,
sure.
I think, individually. It is just that thing of cohesion, and I think for the most part, week on week, they have been getting better at actually playing as a team. We've seen players start to self-sacrifice and make room for others. But to me, look, individual skill is one thing, whether they can put it all together is a different thing.
What I will say, I'm a little bit sad that Mammoth aren't playing against Bliss.
Yes.
Because it feels like Mammoth is split two's Bliss. Where Bliss were like the ragtag like team that people looked at and said like none of these guys are top
They
one
just-
in their role, but they're all
Yeah.
very good. And then they had to learn how to be a team together. And then as a result of that, made it to the finals. Didn't quite win, but like look at how much time has helped them.
Yeah.
Mammoth on a, to me, similar trajectory, right? Like the skill of the individuals is there. They just need to learn how to play and win as a team and play together. And so like at any point, you feel like if it clicks, like they are so dangerous. Like that's kind of what I look forward to in a series like this. And I'd just love to see them versus Bliss for the
It
narrative.
just feels
so.
like time is the enemy for a lot of these teams, right?
Yeah.
Like, based on your point before, obviously for the teams that got knocked out as well. Just such a condensed split just doesn't really view too kindly on those that haven't been around for previous splits like Bliss or countless years like a Chiefs.
I want to talk about the sports a little bit more. I feel like we've mentioned every other role that's going on, who we sort of favor between those two and how they should be playing out their lane. But when it comes to Yosun up against Aladoric, do you see them playing similar champions? Do you see them playing in the same way as well? Do you think they're both just as decisive and as aggressive as each other, or one might have the advantage over the other when we get later on in the game into team fights?
Well, I made the bold claim a couple of weeks ago that Yosun and Cheon were the best bot lane in the league, and for the sake of being a man of my word, I will stick to that and say that Yosun still has the advantage. I actually think they're very similar players. I think that in terms of both the play style, the champions they play, and the way that they move around the map, particularly favouring positioning around mid lane, is quite similar. I think Yosun's just been a bit better for me at getting some nutty flanks on Rakan. There was a really nice one that he had.
I will say though, I remember that last game when he was like trying to make the grand entrance in, and he just gets instant death sentence, locked on down.
Yes.
There was that time when he jumped into literally nothing, completely airball, just dies as a result. So I think like I'm fully aligned with you. Same champion pool, same play style.
Yeah.
I just wonder if Aladoric's got just that slight bit of extra edge, just from confidence or team ability or whatever it may be, to
Or
say I know
communication.
exactly what you're doing because you're a mirror of me.
To remember that, like, they might be the best bottom lane in the league. They might be. But if they're speaking in a different language to each other and then trying to communicate to Sully, who's just come back to competitive from a break and has not integrated perfectly with the team yet, maybe Aladoric just looks better because he's communicating to experienced junglers that he has played with for a long time before in either Babip or Kevy, who he knows very well.
There's a small delay. Oh no, I was going to do a funny meme and I've just messed it up.
She's on TikTok again.
Yeah, I feel like this is Twitch chat while we talk.
No, not again.
It's the same one.
The same.
It's the same one.
Dude, I can't believe you guys haven't seen it. Have you
We've seen it
genuinely
twice
not seen
now.
it?
We have now.
Have you guys
Show us the
seen
third
it?
time.
Don't, please.
Let's watch it now.
Let's watch it all the way through.
I wish
hate
we
to
had
watch
the
it again.
camera that could close up. Is this the start?
Everyone does like a green screen behind it, and it's just this cat, and normally it's like something captioned over it of like, you know, when you just kind of are sitting there, you're just like listening.
It's like when you're getting scolded and you're so spaced out.
Your brain is somewhere else, and you're like, I have to like physically be present, but mentally, oh god, I am anywhere else but here. That is that meme, and you just
I wonder
overlay
if
it
that's
with anything
players when they
else.
lose a series. Or like
that's what I'm thinking.
they're just looking into
like,
the
that
abyss, and the
is,
coach is like, you messed up wave number 3 when the cannons came in, you didn't use your TP back.
and
Like,
Tian's just like,
That endless stare.
Yeah.
that's exactly what I
Pain.
picture.
I remember I got reverse swept and I sat head in my hands on my
That
desk for
was
20
you.
minutes.
That was you.
I had to
It's rough.
walk out and face my family in the other room after getting reverse swept.
And they watch.
They watch.
Yeah.
This small delay, we've elongated it. It's a little bit of a bigger delay, enough that we are going to go to a break. When we come back, though, that champ select should be ready and the game should be loading up.
Rolling far and we're rising high. Take control when we enter rooms, my girls, you be ride or die. Bring that power, you be blazing. Look them haters straight in the eye. Bring that vibe, you be made it. Too hot like shady. Too hot, we're amazing. Strong like what? Warrior stance like what? Warrior sign like what? Yeah, original. My girls be hot like ooh, yeah. Fire sign blaze like woo, yeah. Fire sign blaze like woo, yeah. We be rolling far and we're rising high. Take control when we enter rooms, my girls should be ride or die. Bring that power, you be blazing. Look them haters straight in the eye. Bring that vibe, yeah, we made it. Too hot like shady. Too hot, we're amazing. Strong like what? Warrior stance like what? Warrior sign like what? Yeah, original. My girls be hot like ooh, yeah. Fire sign blaze like woo, yeah. Fire sign blaze like woo, yeah. sweet hot like ooh, yeah. Fire sign blaze like ooh, yeah. Fire sign blaze like ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. They want me to quit, I can't stop it. I'm out of this world, I'm like a rocket. And we got the drip, no other options. You breaking the noise, okay, let's get it rocking. Hey, turn the energy up. We got the juice and it spills on everything that we touch. Yeah, and you can never be us. We not afraid of the pressure, cause we good in the clutch. Yeah, we taking over the game. We on fire, call us octane. I made it through all the pain. Yeah, you gon' remember the name. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, turn the energy up. We got the juice and it spills on everything that we touch. Yeah. And you can never be us. We not afraid of the pressure cause we good in the clutches. Look, even at a red light, you couldn't stop me. You can't defeat me by yourself, you'll need a posse. I'm so original. My life
He hooks himself back in. They want it. Kizzy's on evil. It's a pentakill. Second, they'll find a second. Chippies is on an absolute tear right now.
Thank you so much for sticking with us since the issue has been fixed. So our game between Chiefs and Mammoth will be popping up very soon. Before we jump into it, reminder what our predictions were. I thought there was a realm in which Mammoth were going to take a game off of it, but ultimately going towards Chiefs. Max, you just went for straight for it. Skim aligned with you, and then Rusty. You and I were on the same page.
2-1.
The 2-1. We'll see if it does happen, but obviously before we see if it's going to go to game number 3, we've got to get through game number 1, and Champ Select for that is ready.
And it certainly is. Let's kick it off and see what happens in our second best of 3 of the night. In the upper bracket, where a second lifeline is afforded for either of these teams. They certainly have, man. How about that? Take away the Poppy, take away the Ivan, then deny the Rel as well. So the Chiefs on the left-hand side here looking to try and get themselves that first pick priority. As for Mammoth, I wonder if they let the LeBlanc through as well.
Malachi, Zaya, LeBlanc you would expect has to be a ban, and then you're probably looking at the Tristana Kaiser handshake, right? It's the most likely outcome. You get to choose which one you'd prefer. Yeah, 3 targeted bans by the Chiefs against Sully or against Mammoth specifically. LeBlanc's up. Everything's up. I think
Nico's up too.
This is such an interesting little situation in draft. Mammoth say, let's not get rid of anything. If you're not going to ban meta, we're not going to ban meta, and we're all just picking it.
What have we got?
Most
We've got
overpowered drafts in history.
Jace, Kaiser, LeBlanc, Nico.
Yeah, and if you go for the Trist, you've got the Jace Kaiser, right? That could just be picked on the other side. So you're looking at LeBlanc instead is the question. Because if you go for Jace, then you've given over the potential of a LeBlanc. But you've already got a Trist, so it's more likely mid. Unless you flex that bottom with like an Alistair. Like, it gets crazy right now.
Which is not at the realm of possibilities, right? We know that Raze is phenomenal on the Tristana.
You could even, I think, Skimmy, you could even go for like a Kaiser Sejuani or Kaiser. Like, I know that LeBlanc's the most obvious choice, but if you're handshaking the Nico, then I think you could have looked for like a prior jungler. But instead, they are going to go for the LeBlanc. So I think ball in the Chiefs' court, you could go for the Jace. If you want to take that away, but LeBlanc's there, so it's not going to happen. What do you want?
And you decide that you want Nico, given it is up and available. We obviously saw Kevy play that one so successfully last time, right? It's been permit ever since. It'll just be too good to pass up, surely.
Yeah, I mean, Nico got nerfed on this patch, so did Static Shiv for LeBlanc, but I think the reality is Nico's nerfs do not stop why she is strong. They made it so that she gets revealed earlier with the ultimate, but the truth is her wave clear with Q and E together, just unbeatable, unmatched. And Static Shiv LeBlanc's probably going to be the only thing that really gets you back up there, but that's a full item away, so Nico starts with Prio. Chiefs get to pick the Trist Nico as a trade for Kaiser LeBlanc. And this is where the difficulties come in. What are you going to go for third? Vi almost perma-banned up until this point as well.
You can see there was a realm in which they were considering a Nocturne there for a second just to have infinite mobility and shutdown potential, almost act as a screen for those Nico nerfs, as you mentioned, right, to guarantee that it would connect. But instead, the Vi does come out and back into Mammoth's hands. Now, will they have to consider, okay, what is stronger? Do we want the Jace or do we want the jungler? And for Sully, emphatically saying, I was so good on this back in the day, earlier on in the split, and that's been permitted away from me. So if we're just having OP champions up and available, give me this.
Yeah, I think by going towards this Kha'Zix, they're actually clearly showing signs that they're going to be a poke dive comp, right? The two components of the comp being poke from Kai'Sa. The hover of the Jace could also be a bait for the ban phase, just to make them wonder, you know, where everything's going to be. Because, like, in theory, if Mammoth have Kai'Sa Jace and they have LeBlanc and a Kha'Zix, like, that's tough. Like, they just harass you with abilities, and they have two mobility-based assassins that could lock you down. So this is a very interesting draft phase so far, to be sure. I mean, Milio, Alistar both being taken away. Yursan's champion pool naturally has to be attacked here, but it means they lose the Trist Alistar themselves. And that isn't Trist bot lane. That has to be a confirmed Tristana bot lane, right? Unless they're going to flex it to top, and that's not a bio thing.
Yeah, more supports removed from the table. You'd imagine that to really be the consistent theme from either side. So the Braum taken away, same with the Nautilus as well. It's almost like Chiefs are banning away what works so well for the Tristana. But in fairness, obviously works so well with the Kai'Sa too.
Yeah, Rel, Alistar, Nautilus gone. Leona is the next engage support, right, that you probably look towards. Absolutely, Aladoric can lock that one in. Thresh is a potential answer if you see the Leona. So, I mean, Leona, again, obvious, that part gets locked in. If you're the Chiefs, what do you do now, right? You've got, I'd say Pyke is cheesy, but possible given how squishy everyone but the Leona is. And then for me, it might just be a Thresh. I mean, Rakan's there. Rakan is there.
There's always a world in which Rakan can seem attractive, for sure. Depends, I suppose.
Kind of the self-counter into Leona.
Well, that's for sure. What do you value more? Do you bank your bets on needing to really nullify bot lane, or do you feel like your impact is better come team fights with the ability to engage a little bit more reliably on that champ?
Cassante up here as well, but hovering the Renekton at the present moment. It might just be a preference here for Biopanther, but while that gets locked, the Rakan choice, the current hover, I think most likely to be locked in, but I like to float those other options or those other ideas. Thresh makes a safer laning phase, but Rakan complements the Tristana a little bit more for going forwards.
That's it, yeah.
And I think the biggest thing here is it provides snap engage, right? And the thing the Chiefs have a lot of right now is like they've got reliable engage, they've got guaranteed team fighting, flash stun from Renekton, Vi's ult will always hit. But having that Rakan be able to go in from these other angles just makes life a lot easier for the Chiefs, right? They don't have to play exclusively front to back now.
Which is exactly what you need when we talked about, you know, how do we try and shut down this kind of very frustrating dive poke composition, right? You need some reliable way to say, look, we're down to 50% already. We need to pull the trigger. We're just getting poked out, be it on a mid-wave, or we're going to try and contest an objective, say, like the Baron, for example. So certainly have given themselves a few avenues to try and pull that trigger, with a Vi ultimate to start things off, perhaps, or a Rakan to try and complement that. And obviously we know that Biopanther is a bit of a weapon when it comes to the flash engage on the Renekton as well. I think overall it's very on par for them, with the addition of an eco being left up and available. But for Mammoth, it seems like they've got everything that complements their style, right? You've got a strong carry in the top lane, you've got strong carry also in the jungle.
Yeah.
But then every champion aligned, we are going forward and we are just getting kills.
Yeah, very volatile matchups in all three lanes and the jungle. For sure, this early game is going to be an influential factor. You make a mistake in Jax versus Renekton, either side of that matchup runs away with it, and it's a 0-6 lane. So you have to be super careful. Both junglers can gank all three lanes, to be sure, right? Like, you go top lane, there's reliable stuns. You go mid lane, there's reliable stuns. You go bot lane, that is just where fighting will happen anyway. And so I think the early movements of these junglers, this is definitely one of those drafts you look at and on paper say, well, if we're not tracking the movements of the opponent jungler early, this game could run away from us in the first 8 minutes. Like, we just lose the game up to the Herald that gets summoned and suddenly they've got a 2,000 gold lead. So super cautious with vision, but definitely looking and hunting for kills in their lanes.
But they certainly will be, and it's everything you could ask for. You really want to see all the bells and the fireworks come out in the playoffs when teams really showcase their true caliber, their nature, their skills, and all the honing they've done over the past 6 weeks of regular play. And here is a cheeky level 1 play. All of the Chiefs grouped up bar Biome Panther in the bot lane in that pixel bush, just waiting to see if anybody would dare face check.
Mammoth mostly grouped up here as well, though, from the looks of it. They were at least in the same area. It was just Yersan that walked forwards there. Seems like he wanted to try and either place a ward or sweep his way through to deny any kind of level 1 strategies or plays. Will put himself back to base now, though, with that sweeper still being there. As we load into this game, Skimmy, nothing actually happening at level 1, but like we were highlighting, where the wards get placed and when is going to be the most crucial part. Mid lane priority should belong to the Nico. So if we're going to quickly discuss, you know, is it easier for one person or another? LeBlanc's trades tend to be for electrocute procs or fleet footwork as an indicator that's going to be the static shiv means not even that. Nico should just push faster. The Q start, though, looking for a bit more damage and DPS in those trades. For top lane, Jackson and Renekton both push when they trade. So it's one of those lanes that should just generally be favored to the one who gets the better trade early, or just dead even, building and crashing. What's the place where I think there is the most common amount of, like, just the most normal kill threat going to be every time Rakan goes in? Unlike that Braum matchup we discussed in Series 1, Leona stuns you. And if Leona doesn't stun you, she stuns your carry, like 3 times. And she usually wins that 1v1 when you don't. So it's a tough lane to play. I think Mammoth with a bit more control down here if they play it well.
So there's going to be a lot of scrutiny as to when and where that cleanse gets used by either AD carry, because the value could certainly be paramount to finding themselves a teamfight victory as level 2 comes across. Zenith Blade in, hit the stun, force the flash, and Aladoric is burning on down from that ignite. Just like that. Massive HP advantage for Mammoth.
Yeah, flash gone from the Rakan as well, so while the ignite is still there, losing that flash hurts. Definitely puts a big target on your head, and they could just ignore the fact that Raze has cleanse. It doesn't even matter if they kill Aladoric in lane. They still get money in the right hands. The one place we didn't really talk about as well is those junglers, but you know, we said they have really good lanes to gank for. The junglers themselves have really good gank setup. High damage from the Kha'Zix, needs a LeBlanc setup. I think Kha'Zix LeBlanc is one of the most dangerous duos for damage in 2v2 skirmishes. And Vi is one of those champions that if you're not careful and you aren't communicating well perhaps with your team, or you just choose to go in and be a hero by yourself, Vi just dies. Absolutely fragile when isolated, and Kha'Zix loves someone who's isolated.
We've certainly seen that happen before, right? You get baited with a disengage away, or worse yet, you just fall victim to really being a utility Vi with 0 damage to your name. As Chain's falling the Wrath right now. There's a second rocket jump, out comes the cleanse. He needs one more auto, and that's what Raze will find. First blood for the Chiefs.
And they almost just got that in the 2v2. Kevy, they're more of an afterthought, it feels like. Strong little engage there from the Chiefs. Well done from Raze and Aladoric. Kevy, right place, right time, though, to make sure that trade is successful. Is Dungeon going to have a crack in mid lane? The Chain's missed. He's actually probably going to hard lose from this one. Chiefs kind of controlling everywhere on the map right now.
Certainly are having the best time. This will be the first time that Darjan gets to showcase what it's like to play the LeBlanc with the Static Shiv build.
Because they're obviously a big Tristana fan.
He keeps shape-shifting towards it, doesn't he?
He does.
Here we go again, one more time.
Big Tristana fan.
Really
could be
wishes.
the skin. Could be the base attack speed that he likes more than the Nico. Maybe he's done the math.
Just wishes there's coaches that said that, no, Raze, you're not going to be playing the Tristana this game.
We will be drafting Tristana in both mid and bottom.
That's it.
The ultimate flex. Yeah.
Topside, look at Biopemper right now, sniffing a first blood of his own. And just like that, a stun, and you're gone.
Oh, no.
That is the best possible start here for Bio in the top lane. And Chain's just come back to bot the Zenith Blade in, but it will not deny what Raze is cooking up here. We've just picked into bot lane again, and he's got 2 now.
Everywhere we look, the Chiefs are just winning. Raze with a very nice little kill down in bottom lane. I mean, I am not sure why Chaeyon was where he was. If he has been knocked up by a Rakan and had that flash not available, I mean, it's his fault for being too far forwards. Yersan was not in the area, so you disrespect the Chiefs, you do get punished. We look at top lane one more time, and we said Chiefs are winning in all 3 lanes. Well, Tian chooses to take this trade. Biopanther happily waits out the Counter-Strike before just executing him plain and simple. That's not even half.
Oh, wow.
It's the flash forwards from Chaeyon. And it's the Tristana that does it. I mean, I love that from Raze. Hyper aggressive, but yeah, Chaeyon Was not prepared for that.
I mean, that's beautiful, really is. The flash rocket jump, give the Rakan a highway to really find his mark, and guaranteed that the summonless Kaiser would fall on down. Another wrath of attention turns towards Daj as 3 members collide and say, there is your clone. You're proc to 40, and this dragon is not going to be as easy as you'd like now to try and assist with.
Still being done here by the side of Mammoth. 3,000 health means they have to turn. They're looking.
Certainly are, but the pop blocks and flashes in and hits everybody as Kisei instantly takes down Sully. Kevy gets in as well and gives Cheon his 3rd death in only 6 minutes. And they reclaim Drake.
I'll tell you what, I think Chiefs have looked at their last any % speed run of a Mammoth best of series and said, let's just do that again and try and beat that record. 5-0 at 6 minutes in. Every single lane just winning. You go for the Drake, they counter you at the Drake. Everywhere that you show up, Chiefs show you how to do it better.
Very quickly becoming a bit of a shutout here as we start once again. It all initially onto Darjing, but then Kisei finds a moment.
Yeah, if you forgot that Nico exists in League of Legends, nice nerf, lol. Nico still gets the massive ult four-man knock-up. Kisei also one of the few players that actually got to play this Nico and was absolutely insane on it.
That's right.
That feels like we've had back-to-back series where we've said that. Daystar gets LeBlanc, Kisei gets Nico. Everyone's scratching their heads watching the draft saying, I can't believe that actually was allowed through.
First game of a series just seems to be a case of let's see really what their read is on this patch. Get them the OPs and see if we've won the lottery here. So many of those strong champions were given across on either side.
Bio has ult and flash. I think he looks for this.
He certainly does, but look at bot lane as well. Kevy has ultimate too. There might be a dive that's on. Chen has only cleanse available right now, and he is the target. A 2-man knock-up. Chen can hit the cleanse, and the explosive shot's not enough. The Raze jumps in one more time, bunny hopping away to safety, and says, yeah, son, you can't catch me. I can, in your face, just walk back to safety.
And is escorted by the Rakan to get back. The jump reset, that's all you need. Nico walking towards Sully here, of course, looking like a low-health Vi. See how well he sells this. Getting the honey fruit is a good sell, but I'm not sure he's convinced. Sully just dodges that on out brilliantly with the ultimate. Very nice dodge from Sully.
Certainly does, as he goes through a cheeky invade to deny away Chief's blue buff. He's just looking to try and catch our isolated members right now whilst the fights are going against them. The Kazakhs can come online, and suddenly it's easy for Chiefs to be as aggressive as they have been.
There's a couple of things that I really want to highlight here through this draft is the Jax was picked into Renekton. They knew their matchup. I think there's no reason or excuse for Tan to be losing this hard in a 1v1 if this is the matchup that he chose to play. You've gone for a really strong mid-jungle 2v2 here as well from the side of Mammoth. Between a Kha'Zix and a LeBlanc, you would love to see them get active together. But the one fight they went for was a 4v4 where the Chiefs' composition is better. Right? Like, I think they really have set themselves up to fail when they draft in a particular way and seem to avoid that play style in space of another. Engaging bottom.
We certainly are, but then the counter engage is even better, as that means Valador jumps in, forces Yersun back and says, how about you have the health trade go against you this time? Sully's in the area, not going to be spotted on any vision right now, just waiting for that Zenith Blade to come back up, and it's available now.
Yersun level 6 is like 1 creep away. And I think that if he hits 6, they would have attempted that.
For sure.
Ranged engage gives Kai'Sa the ultimate to come through as well, even if the cleanse is there from Raze. But I also think that if they went for that play, they would have all died.
Uh-oh. Tinner's just blast cone back into 3 members and said, this is not the script. Why are you all here? Starting to pop blast him into knockdown, shutdown, flash across the wall, and say it was always meant to be a 1v1 between 2 bruisers, and that's how it'll end.
Yeah, Kevy with the ult didn't want to use that one as well, right? So almost gets himself out. Ultimately does get the summoner spell from Biopanther, but still the right play. They find their target. Dajang looks for a trade in mid. We'll get the double chains off, but he's losing in hell.
But then Sully comes in and is there to claim up the bounty. That's what he needed. Kazakhs back in the game and crashed this wave at the same time as well. And suddenly that prospect becomes, yes, just like you'd like to see the mid-jungle be for Mammoth.
That's it. The double chains from a LeBlanc just gives so much space and time for the damage of the Kha'Zix to come through, and so he does. They finally get some money. The static shiv timing, the lethality's there from Sully as well, and some much-needed money into the right hands. I think still in a pretty devastating position. They're not going to get perfect gamed or anything, but they need to find a little bit more than just that 1 kill in mid.
Well, as you quite rightly point out, there is still a massive item disparity. You can see Gore drink a complete Black Cleaver 2 for your top half of the map for Chiefs. Look at Raze. I mean,
Look at him.
he is 3-0 and has so much gold. And look where Chan is. He's down 1,500.
I mean, Raze is sitting there in practice tool, 100 CS at 10 minutes on the clock. He's done absolute perfection. 3-0 scoreline to go with that one. And of course, he's got more than enough money to, at 11 minutes in the game, finish his Kraken Slayer, have his boots too, and have a starting item to boot. He is rich, rich. That's a thick wall, Kevy. Don't worry, we didn't see it.
Uh-oh, but Dajong has jumped on in and really regretted his decision after that one. Can they get the kill as a result of this one as he flashes away at the very last moment and says, your son, I am what you're after. In with a pop was some knock-up, all three again. What have Mammoth done? Have they fallen into their own demise? The Sully is burning. Is he going to die? No, the Ignite isn't enough. Raze to flash in, but Sully to leap away. And now you got a Tristana stuck between two turrets in mid lane saying, come at me, boys. Why are you flashing? Dajong's just sort of right back in like an absolute madman. And he goes back in again! Against two! What is he doing? Incredible! Salvage the situation which looks so unwinnable.
I mean, he's done the best that he possibly can with a bad situation. And that is the question, Skimmy. What are Mammoth thinking? They invite this fight. They incite the violence of Chiefs, who with a Nico just standing perfectly still, watches as 3 members come into ult range. And then a Ricard follows up. Amazingly for Mammoth, the individual talent of Dajong nets him a couple of extras on the back end. But this is so bad for Mammoth. It starts with finding Kisei. The Vi comes through, and luckily for Dajong, that E'd already been gone. The Tangle Barbs aren't going to be there, or that could have just been a kill. And then they come through. Sully comes in. Cheon ults in. Bang, triple knock-up. Rakan follows that one up, and then it's in a bounce house. Sully's gone. Very lucky to be alive with Raze flashing this wall. And why does this work out okay for Mammoth? Because the Chiefs want everything. They want the kitchen sink. They want to take everything home with them. They continue to push forwards. The Blanc comes back in. He's able to put some damage down. They don't get the kill, but he sees 2 very low health members.
And right back into the pressure cooker as we continue to look for fights right now. Looking to try and riot out Sully. He's broken their ankles so far because he's got Invis. The charges are working in their favor. But he sees Dajong in the mid lane and he's not offering any kind of safety. Is going to fall down for free. As they look to try and make a play around this dragon, and it has been their demise again.
Dark moving towards bottom lane, jump forwards here from Yersan. They're looking.
They certainly are, but as Raze now been enough more than he can chew because down goes the solo player. Look at him really try and disengage away from this play. Yersan just really playing with fire. And super reliant on these cleanse cooldowns have both AD carries been.
I mean, it's just a big item disadvantage right now. The absolute canyon between these ADs. Even if that was a good fight from Mammoth, they play their mechanics out perfectly. They still are items and a half down.
Well, that's Aladora looking to try and pull the trigger. And it will be Cheon is ticking on down. No! 8 health! Kevin needs to literally look in.
Aladoric.
And
One auto
somehow
off.
breeze the win. How have they not found this kills the second time? Now it's eluded him. It started with Story in the mid lane. Now it's going to be Chen in the bot lane. And now it's Mammoth running members down, finding the stragglers and punishing them for not finding what they so sorely needed. Kevy can't get away in the end.
Kevy has ult. Kevy had ult that entire time. Unless it's visually bugged, he's really holding on to that one. Just go straight on. I know Dajong teleported in, right? So if you want to think about what was the saving grace, and that off your screen, Dajong comes in and was the factor. Pushed them away, dissuaded them. Aladoric with no health to his name has to run through. You watch this back. Ult comes through. It's on vision. They have a semblance of knowledge, but they can't really stop it. No mana there from Yersan, but this teleport finds Raze, instantly removes him. Aladoric with no minions has to run through. I still thought at this point Kevy could have just ulted Cheon and maybe gone for the second kill. You know, I'm not even sure they had enough mana to stun him from the Leona. Jump forward, Smite secures the first one, and I'm telling you right now, the tale of the tape is that Dajong's trying to 1v5 this game.
Absolutely. Wherever he's gone, he's been able to try and pick up some kills and salvage something of what was already a very quickly snowballing, out-of-control game. He looks at his bot lane, he looks at his top lane and says, what on earth is going on? It's on me with this broken champion to try and outplay really a Nico, the battle of the 2 OP champions in the mid lane.
The only issue is there's only so much a LeBlanc can do to kill multiple members, right? There is still a Renekton that you have no hope of 1v1ing. I mean, if you do, congratulations, you've spent 30 seconds. Right, you have to live with that reality. Vi can just target you. It's tough. I mean, Darjong got an uphill battle. He does have money in his jungler. He has a second threat in his jungler, and between a Kha'Zix and a LeBlanc, everyone can drop. Mammoth not out of this game yet, but the difference between these bot laners is monumental.
Speaking of, it actually is going to be Chan picking up the second static shiv for the team. Certainly going to be a massive priority on this wave clear to try and run around the map and make sure they're not getting out macroed by the sense of what Chiefs are doing right now, because they are grouped up and they're the ones that are going to try and press their strength, their advantage. And their style of play on the opposition, that is tower number 2, opening up the mid lane now.
Mammoth no trade.
Really Mammoth just looking to try and pick up the crumbs.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a mismatch in bot lane right now. Darjong facing off against the Renekton, and he is at the top of the table right now for gold. It is a sea of blue beneath the singular member of Darjong here for Mammoth. He has a monumental task himself to try and go toe-to-toe with them, because they are keeping up with him right now. But he is the shining beacon, the star of hope that exists for this Mammoth team.
Well, it certainly is when you look at the bottom of that and you're seeing that Aladoric isn't too far behind the AD carry of Mammoth. Really does paint the picture that it is really LeBlanc's show at this point of the game.
That's his second item, so this is a big point in the game. Doesn't necessarily mean that this next fight goes the way of Mammoth, and Chiefs have to respect that one, but that is a 2-item LeBlanc that can do serious damage to everybody that is on the map right now. And Tien actually acting as bait.
Certainly is, and Biopepper will take that bait as he tries to slice and dice for safety, but the leap in afterwards guarantees that the counter-strike will come on through. Solar Flare in his head, he's been CC'd for eternity. Coldamic, he flashes away, but they're not letting him out of his reach. They will take him down for the shot, then the quickness comes in, charms up one, but not a second, as Yosan leaps back in, but it gets charmed afterwards. Kevy's still alive, he'll find Tien. He's looking for a second, but he wants to serve him up on a silver platter for Raze, who claims another double kill.
As Skimmy, Mammoth choose to fight without Darjong, and I don't like it at all. They took the one decision they probably shouldn't have had. They've got this strong guy with 2 items who's their mid laner that's now in top lane. They're like, you know what? We respect that you're top, let's just fight bottom instead. Let's just completely disregard where our money is and take a gamble. And they did take a gamble, and that backfired. Their house won.
That certainly did, but he's putting a lot of pressure into Kisso right now, forced to burn the ultimate and just solos him before that ult even completes. You're absolutely right here, Rusty. What are they doing fighting without him? He's just taking down Kisei.
He straight up just 1v1s his mid lane opponent, breaks the turret, and is putting in so much work to win this game. And the rest of them are baiting this Renekton out to try and take a skirmish when Chiefs have priority in mid lane. So the Ricardo and Tristana are always going to get hit first, and the Kai'Sa simply does not exist in this game. She's dealing with the mid wave. Yes, it's a static shiv. Doesn't mean it's safe to walk up and clear the wave yet. They know exactly where Sully is. They'll jump into this bush. Easy fight win once those reinforcements come through. And that's what it comes down to. Chiefs have reinforcements faster.
The numbers, and they're certainly entertaining the ideas that if Mammoth want to fight, we'll go for those fights. Tien is back at the graveyard. That's where he fell down before, and he'll fall down all the same again. Darjong's going to TP and instantly realize this is not a fight I want to take, and I certainly do regret this one as he takes the Hex Gate away. The rest of his team will frantically run back towards mid.
I think he was a little bit saved by Kevy not having the ultimate there for 5 seconds as well. He was very close to being able to find him with a flash ult, locking down that LeBlanc, and it could be a different story. But he's able to get out with those home guards. Ray's going to have a crack here, though.
Yeah, Race has already rocket jumped
He just
in.
jumped.
He's just going to clear the wave instead. Says, let's help out Shelly. Make sure she gets on target here.
X-Gate again.
Now is completely surrounded. What do you do now? How do you get yourself out of this situation? He's being locked on down. The ultimate this time will connect. And it will be Raze that gets revenge for Kisei.
Yeah, both LeBlancs die at once. So even if one of them was fake, it doesn't matter. Vi ultimate comes through.
It's not over yet, though. As you say, the ultimate to lock down Sully, who will look to try and deny vision for a second. Make it twice now as he's really trying to deny any possibility of being taken on down.
Ray's flashed for that, Skimmy. This game is
on point.
hypey.
On point, he's been flashing to kill Sully.
He's feeling himself. We've seen Raze do this a couple of times, actually. Last week, I have memory of him just flashing the wall with instant trust for Aladoric. It wasn't the right play, but God, he was on board. And that's the type of... the lack of hesitation in a moment like that could actually be fight-defining. If it's something that everyone chooses to commit to, you did it a second fast, that's 2 auto attacks, suddenly you've won because you're a Tristana. They've got that explosive shot off. Big moment there, though, from the Chiefs. They shut down Darjong. I think he could have probably Hex-gated to safety, to be perfectly honest with you, but chose to entertain them for a little bit longer. It's no real avail.
unfortunately for him. No matter how strong he is, just not being given the time or space from his team to try and do much more than really 1v5 at this point.
This makes me think of Kyose. Remember that game where he stole the Baron, was like 10-1 in a defeat?
I'm trying to think who they were into. Not ringing any bells at the moment.
No, it's not.
All I think when I hear of Kyose is Lux, quite honestly. Lux in his tier list for what the best skin was.
Not him playing Ari only for 6 months.
That's true.
Lux in his tier list. Total control now, though, from the Chiefs. Vision control should be established here. They have a control ward in the pit, so no vision allowed for Mammoth. Using the Kha'Zix's invisibility, still caught.
Yeah, but he's been caught at this time. Fool me once, shame on me, but then fool me twice. It's just not going to happen. He's done it a little bit too many times now. Chiefs have read him like a book. We know your play. And we will punish you for it. And down for 30 seconds, Chief instantly turned towards the Baron.
Looking for the turn here, though, the Chiefs. They'll go forwards. Commit on the Chion potentially, but I think he just was out of range. Kevin going to take some damage here as well from the LeBlanc, but all things considered, Chiefs still with enough control. They're going to force this Baron. Teleport from Tian. They want to contest.
But they certainly do. Looking to try and use all that poke and pressure and really allow the likes of Dajin to go in and try and snipe somebody down. TP already came in from Tian, but the Baron's already been secured. In with the flash, the rocket belt, the 3-man knock-up, and it's just too easy for the Chiefs. They get down 2 in a heartbeat. And they're still hunting for more. Meanwhile, Sully's rushing as quickly as he can outside the base. I mean, just respawn saying, team, what is going on? There is the killer instinct, and that is Bio finding his second. Put the final nail in the coffin and give them kill number 4.
Another kill falls. Sully in mid lane does have the Edge of Night to stop the Vi from going on him, but if they find their mark, they will still take him down. It doesn't look like it's going to be late enough into this game to outright be a Nexus, but the Chiefs with a Baron buff, with a 10,000 gold lead now, will break open the base. This game is just plummeting out of control for Mammoth.
It certainly is. It really is going against them. And I mean, I beg the question going into this series, right, what would we see from this top lane? It seems like we're getting deja vu from the last time these two teams met. It's a 1-6, a 1-7 from Tien. It's 1-5 right now in the matchup that he chose to play into Renekton. You can see here, coming as a 4v5, really looking to try and put the pressure on. They had vision on this Baron, but then they just keep falling victim to the Nico.
Yeah, vision next to the pit, not going to be enough information to know exactly when the Smite secure will come through, and they really did lose to the timing there as well. The second the Baron was gone was the second they were in range to engage. Things looking very good here from the Chiefs. I mean, it's just bread and butter League of Legends. Kisei gets solo killed. He says, watch this. I'll solo kill your whole team with another big Nico ultimate, and has done that twice already in this game. Yerson caught again.
He certainly is, and he's the one that's looking to get taken on down straight away. Instantly bust the shot away. You're not letting him do anything to me as a result. As Sully pounces on through, cannot be found. Kisei playing gold defense, and will split the fight apart. Raised 8 kills to his name, but finally taken down. Tien limping away with only 10 health to his name will say, I've done something here.
He's still alive. He has red buff regen. He has red buff regen.
And it really is at a range there for BioPanther, as he's really, as you say, getting topped up and healthy here. Might turn around and have a crack one more time. Might try to take Aladoric down, or at least try and break their ankle, say, dodge this, and juke that.
Meanwhile, teleport towards mid lane, looking to end the game, though, is the Chiefs. Dominant game number 1.
It certainly was. 24 minutes on this one. They're definitely going to look to try and beat their record here. 26 in both their meetings earlier on in the split. They started off in this fashion in more kills than there are minutes. I mean, Chiefs mean business.
Yeah, Chiefs aren't messing around, man. Very straightforward game of League of Legends for them. Pretty much from the very beginning. You know, you come all the way back to the draft and they get themselves the Nico. They're pretty happy with their composition. They've got the Tristana first pick that everyone's going for now as well. And this soft counter of the Rakan into the Leona that starts a little bit rough for the Chiefs suddenly is a 2v2 kill. Suddenly it's just a 3-0 AD carry they're dealing with. And meanwhile, they still have the Vi and the Nico, and like, this is kind of just an Exodia composition. Mammoth handshake the let's just leave everything up and see what happens. Well, they found out.
Yeah, I came in the draft a little bit halfway through, and I was like, oh, Kai'Sa, LeBlanc. I was like, Mammoth kind of getting some good champs with himself. I look over at Chiefs side, and I'm like, You kind of like shrink down a little bit. And look, there were shining moments where I thought Mammoth were putting up a good fight. I was like, okay, maybe they know a little bit more about their win condition, how to play things out, how to stall this game out after it seemed the early game sort of slipped away from them. Past about 8 minutes, that's where I saw some of the things for Mammoth kind of aligned, Max. But when you have such a tough start, even those small moments of alignment aren't really enough.
No, they're absolutely not. And Mammoth very much went for a solo queue comp where any single champion on this roster can carry, right? That has its pros, like you mentioned, at the phase sort of past the very rough early game, which Mammoth don't want to talk about at all. They found these picks, they found capitalizations where the Chiefs were overextending. But once you get into these actual grouped up situations, what does Mammoth's comp actually do, right? Yes, we have a very good 1-3-1, but they were never able to get into those positions because there was just constant fighting. And even then, the side lanes, like this Renekton to Jax matchup was going so horribly in the favor of Biopanther that it just became a matter of the Chiefs grouping up and bringing Raze around, and he just hopped around like the president in this game.
It was tough to watch. What do you think, Rusty, looking back now at some of these highlights, could have been a really key game changer for Mammoth to at least stay in this a little bit longer to ensure that team
Not
fights...
this.
Not what we're watching right now.
They keep picking fights where they're not designed to. Right? If you're playing this Jax to split push and he lost lane by himself, that's life. You know, cut the arm off, save the body. You've got a Kha'Zix, you've got a LeBlanc that can play together, and they somehow managed to fight without the LeBlanc there almost every single time. Like, credit to Chiefs because they avoided that and they forced the teleports. But when Dajang was there, it was an issue. When Dajang wasn't there, Chiefs won. It's really straightforward League of Legends here that the Chiefs played, and Mammoth also decided to entertain fights without him there.
Yeah, you sort of lose one of those fights without your LeBlanc, and you go, shoot, didn't really work in our favor. You don't then keep trying to take those fights. And as we can see here with the end of game screen, with that end of game graphic here, the total damage dealt by all of the champions on the side of Chiefs. No one's really standing out because they all just ran around as a bit of a 5-stack there, and they were able to take fights with the number advantage.
I mean, one pick I do want to shout out especially is this Nico, right? Kisei looked absolutely incredible on this pick, found multiple times 3-4-man pop blossoms to really change the turn of the game. So even on 13-13, where it was supposedly nerfed, still looking like a very strong pick.
It almost like sounded the horn though every time he ulted and like rallied Mammoth to his banner. Like they just jumped in as fast as they possibly could to the Nico ult to see what all this hype was about. Like it was actually crazy.
It wasn't all it lived up to be.
Yeah, not quite what they wanted, I think.
It's rough. You wanted to take the split fight. They weren't really able to do that. Everything went right for Chiefs. Nothing too right for Mammoth. I'm not too sure if there's anything else that you wanted to add on, Skimmy, about this game once you saw those highlights in the post-game stats.
I don't think anything that's not already been mentioned. I mean, I just feel rough for Dajang. Really playing his heart out, looking to really try and answer the call and say I've been scaling every single week. I am now looking to try and change the narrative that I am the weakest link on this team. And yeah, I mean, obviously solo kills Kisei, that feels phenomenal. Gets a tower in the process as well. Obviously that crazy play in mid lane where they're just getting absolutely crushed, jumps back in and takes 2 to the grave with him. Just would have loved to see them group up and say, look, wherever this, LeBlanc goes, we go as well. But I think, yeah, Chiefs, to their credit, said, we've won our lane, we group up as 5, they can't play their style, we just win in a 5v5.
And to me, the thing that I think Mammoth did wrong here was that no one was... We talked about Mammoth and why I thought that was so good was because people started sacrificing. They were willing to give up their own for the sake of the whole. When you look at this composition, no one has done that, right? Kai'Sa LeBlanc, great first 2, right? Incredibly broken to play against. But then you round it out with a Kha'Zix. You already have enough poke, you already have enough damage. Pick some CC, pick something that actually provides a front line for these champions to get to work. Like a Vi, as opposed to every other champion just being like, okay, I want to carry this game. So to me, Mammoth got a bit out of hand. They went back to their week 1, week 2 form, and simply that is not going to be good enough versus a team like the Chiefs.
Yeah, I will say though, everything that we're talking about for Mammoth, their downfalls are really easy fixes if you think about it, right? And there's certain champions that you want to now ban out. There's certain holes in your draft that you can look at and you go, it's an easy fix with this 1 or 2 things. So that does give me hope that Mammoth are able to bounce back. The fact that, again, you already talked about it, Dajang is scaling every week, being that little bit better on whatever champion they're picking up for himself. So maybe it's a little bit of copium. I don't know, but I do like that it's a smaller change that needs to
it is a smaller change, and it in theory is a simple change that you can make happen, right? You still have the Tristana Kai'Sa handshake, that's normal. You just ban the things that you would consider an issue, but imagine you're the Chiefs right now. You just left everything that was OP available. They said, let's do it, and you won with it. So you're clearly in better form right now. You just do that again in game 2. Like, Mammoth can't ban everything, because then they lose all 3 target bans they had, right? So I think you come into the second draft with such a big advantage if you're Chiefs.
Okay. Is that mental diff? A little bit.
Mental diff, but also draft diff, right? Like these 3 targeted bans, you're just now going to pick. Like, they want to ban OP, you just get the champions that they banned from you because they didn't want to verse it.
Maybe not the Maokai.
Maybe.
I was stalling
we
a little
can-
bit with that one because I was waiting for side select to come up in my ear. We're going to have the exact same lineup from Chiefs, so Kevy's going to be playing the 2 games back to back. Side select went to the way of Mammoth because they did lose that game, and they picked themselves up blue side. So this one, again, doesn't really feel too surprising. You could tell me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't feel that way.
No, this is exactly aligned. So the reason that I brought up the ban forcing is I expect Mammoth to pick blue, which means red usually has to get rid of like the Nico LeBlanc. But like if I'm the Chiefs, I don't. You know, like I probably still play this out with the OP stuff up, and I just commit to target ban. So now you got Mammoth who pick blue side, have to ban OPs, and now I have to like pick up the crumbs for a handshake.
I don't know if
anyway.
Mammoth play Tristana. That's the question, right? I don't know if they would first pick a Tristana, in which case, if they don't lock in a Kaiser, which they've basically done for like the last few weeks as a first pick, if you lock in something else, what's to stop Chiefs just responding with a Kaiser Jace and saying good luck?
Yeah, I like it how we spoke about this at the start of the split of, you know, you kind of want to leave at least 1 or 2 OP champs in so you can handshake it. But Chiefs have gone like to the absolute extreme where they're going, we're going to leave in every OP champ so we know that we're going to be getting our hands on just more than just one.
Well, I actually like the draft strategy. I thought it was actually pretty innovative. The teams were like, okay, well, you know, we're just going to give literally everything. And on red side, that can be favored, right? Because you obviously do have the 2 coming straight out of those bans. But, you know, Kaiser LB, great first 2, didn't round it out very well. And that's, to me, where the change needs to come in.
Yeah, okay. It doesn't, again, feel like that's going to be too much of a change up when we talk about it. Anything else playstyle-wise? Do you think that's going to come a lot from champs?
Don't lose every lane.
I mean, Yerson ran it.
Okay, this is what
Like he sprinted.
I was going to see if you guys were going to bring this up because in team fights, I looked at him a lot, right? Because he was supposed to be there engaged for him. That's why they picked up Leona. You guys talked about how there weren't that many initiate supports left. And almost every time I saw him, they would be taking a fight. He'd be trying to engage, and he's already on like 3/4 or 2/3 health. And then the Nico's running at you, and it's just like he's trying to disengage. So everyone else is forward, and the person who should be engaging or initiating for you as your support is nowhere near everyone else
But it's
because
also,
he's already so
like,
low.
That's very much correct, but you have to look at why those fights were started in the first place, and it's him mispositioning, and then it's Yerson saying, "Well, better engage. Like they've got me, better chuck everything."
Guys, I'm already pretty low.
Right,
Let's just
yeah.
throw it all in.
So the issue is more that he was in a position for that to happen. So
Yeah,
like,
okay.
it's like they're not very good at playing from behind. They just never have been, but like that really shows in a game like this because he likes to play like he's ahead. Like you want to do this engage, you lose it. My team's going to Kaiser ult in, but they're ahead, so they win it.
Yeah.
And he was really stuck there.
Hey, maybe they pick up his champ a little bit earlier. Something, I don't know how comfortable he is on the Leona. Maybe he's better at limit testing on other champs as well. So there could be that small change up too, not just in champs picked, but also the priority that we're going to be seeing who gets picked where. But from the fans, we haven't heard you guys from you guys for a while. We asked you at the start of the day what your favorite playoffs memory was. So let's see if there's been any new submissions and if we align with the good memories. So we've got another one here. When Order made it to MSI with no help from... Oh. How did I know?
Hey.
As soon as I saw
Hey.
Order, I knew where this was going. From this guy that went 0-7 on Jace in his last official
You
time.
can't hate from outside of the club, buddy. How was your last LCO game?
Staring through the window. Is that actually true, though? Is that your scoreline on your last official?
No, my last official, I went like 8-2-16. I was
Okay.
playing jungle when I was playing Lee Sin.
Oh, okay, that's why he
Oh,
said
your
last
last
So
official
my last
top
official
lane.
top lane game.
Yeah, he put on that
This
extra
was the
clause.
game where I was mentally broken, all right, because we were playing. I was
Okay.
playing against a Ryze, and Aladoric was playing like Tom or Bart, and he was in my lane 24/7. I was playing Jay's first Camille, so it's not my fault. Blame the coaching staff.
I feel triggered for you just
Thank
off that.
you.
I had it in my ear. I think there's another one. Hopefully. Oh, no, there's not another
Nope.
one. So you guys have to get on top of that, all right? We need more playoff memories, or maybe you're making some new ones.
Do we need to inspire them? Do we need to like share our own memories? Is that what we need to do?
All right, real quick, Skim. What's yours?
First dream hack.
First
First
thing,
dream
mate.
hack.
Getting to finally cast in front of an audience.
Yeah,
That was,
no,
that was
that's-
quite exciting.
That is a great memory. That is a really, really good one. Vouch for that one. I say it like as if I was there. I wasn't, but vouch. I watched
Hey,
you from
you
the
were,
crowd.
but it's somewhere else.
Yeah, that's true. If you liked Skimmy's memory, though, of the first DreamHack, then you guys will like this. We got our watch party. Fortress Sydney is putting one on for our LCO Grand Finals. That's happening Sunday, June 30th, starting at 5:30 p.m. Tickets are $12, but includes a free drink. If you want more information, the Discord or lco.gg. I'd suggest checking it out. We already said it before, but after the broadcast ends, hopefully we'll be making our way down there as well and seeing you guys at Fortress Sydney, seeing everyone that participates in our
Is that even a
events.
selling point, given how much we just
That's true,
trashed
yeah.
on them? Like, I
No,
think
whoa,
that's...
whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't trash on you guys. I love you, Twitch
I
chat.
don't regret it.
I won't be there.
These guys, though.
I'm banned.
You're banned.
Wait, what?
I've already talked too much smack about them.
Okay.
Oh, from Twitch
I'm
chat.
gonna get mobbed, so I need.
They're going to get the pitchforks.
And we will drag Skimmy.
I do need
And we
Secret
will
Service
drag
to take
Skimmy.
me home.
Yeah, and so we'll drag Skimmy there so you can have your pitchforks and torches out for him. But we got game number 2 in this best of 3 between Chiefs and Mammoths happening after this break.
Still being done here by the side of Mammoth. 3,000 health means they have to turn. They're looking.
Certainly are, but the pop blocks and flashes in and hits everybody as Kise easily takes down Sully. Kivy gets in as well and gives Cheon his...
First things first. The battle station. Escape. Delete. I hate this setup. This just isn't me. Ugh. Now this is me.
Live for the beat down, you're gonna see now. We gonna get loud, we going all out. Dominate, dominate, dominate. 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 You're ready to rumble, you're looking for trouble. Dominate, serving them no goals, make it a double. Dominate, don't take your reckless, your enemy's restless. Dominate, you don't wanna test this, we are relentless. Dominate, you're ready to rumble, you're looking for trouble. Dominate, serving them no goals, make it a double. Dominate, don't take your reckless, your enemy's restless. Dominate, you don't wanna test this, we are relentless. Dominate, dominate, dominate. Dominate, dominate, dominate. Dominate, dominate, dominate. Dominate, dominate, dominate.
He hooks himself back in. They want it. Kise's not able. And Zampet's a kill. Second, they'll find a second. Chippies is on an absolute tear right now.
Welcome back. It's going to be game number 2 between Mammoth and Chiefs. Chiefs took game 1 and in a very decisive manner. They absolutely just came out. They wanted everything, and they took what they wanted when it came to draft. We're a little bit worried about this upcoming game 2 draft, aren't we, Max?
We are a bit worried. Obviously, the sides are flipping
If you're a
here.
Mammoth fan.
Just to clarify,
Yeah.
yes, if you're a Mammoth fan, we are a bit worried because the Chiefs basically said no holds barred. Well, it was actually Mammoth's approach, no holds barred, and they got punished for it very badly.
Yeah, but I mean, to your point, Nat, Chiefs did actually want everything, right? They were like, they were getting solo kills in lanes. They were commanding leads in every single lane. Then they were saying, you know what? We're just flashing over walls. We're diving towers. We're
They
letting
were so
Dajong
greedy.
come back into this game because we will not give up anything.
Yeah.
They were hunting for the perfect game.
My favorite thing about a passionate host is sometimes when they want you to talk about something, like they're going to lead you to that water live, and then they're going
And
to
make you
drown you
drink.
in the water
Yeah,
until
and
you
they're gonna
talk
be
about
like,
it.
oh, he's biased.
Like I had a host, one time Spawn was the host, and he's obviously an analyst and an expert and wants to talk about certain things, and there's definitely times where he'll be like, tell me about specifically this, and then he'll talk about it.
Yeah,
Good
that's
host.
cool. That is a good host. I am not a good host, though, because I do that to
You just
Rusty
did that.
almost too regularly. Instead, I'm going to quickly remind you guys that you can
God,
have
I-
your dare fan vote.
that's
I
really
bet you
cool,
by
mate.
day
Thank
3,
you.
Rusty
God,
will
that's-
quit this
that's
job.
so cool,
Mark
bro.
my
Thanks for
word.
sharing, mate.
It's up there in the top right-hand corner. We're going to absolutely go off
That's
camera
so cool,
right
Nat.
now.
Go away.
Yeah,
Champ
because-
Select, bring it up.
He's got it.
How about
Done.
that? Hey, that was a clean segment.
Thanks, Gimme.
Beautiful. Well, Mammoth from the left-hand side now, so that means they're blue side. That means they're first pick priority. Does that mean any of the bans change? Well, they're still going to go for the Maokai. Still deny the Zarya. But the adaptation is that Nico, we don't want to first pick it, and we can't let you have it.
I've realized anecdotes are just dead on this broadcast, so I'm just going to stick to the facts, the cold, hard facts.
Okay.
Otherwise, we get hard shut down from here on out.
Sure.
The hard card, I can't say it. The whole card facts. I
You're
can't.
in shambles, mate.
I'm actually ready to retire at this
Okay.
point. Listen, draft's different, but draft's the same. OP's up.
Hey,
is
but
the
it's
TLDR.
cool. I asked the question, right, would Mammoth play Tristana? They've locked it in. So, now that begs the question, what do Chiefs think is the strongest option available for them? LB still there? Do they decide to go for the Jace
Kaiser
Kaiser?
has to be traded.
Surely.
Otherwise, it feels weird to me. If I was the Chiefs, because LeBlanc's still there though, this is where it gets tough. Like, what would you do? You'd probably. This actually is what I said in the first draft. No, I said you go for the Sejuani second because there's still options and answers in lanes anyway.
Ban away to Maokai. You said the Jason said Jawani work in tandem beautifully together anyway. So
But you are leaving this up.
You are.
So I think it was game 1 draft. I said do Kaiser Sejuani because the Tristana is more likely mid, so you leave open the potential that you get the Kaiser Jace. But at the same time, like Jace Sejuani is really strong, and Kaiser Trist just reveals where they are.
Absolutely. And I mean, also, we've seen that there's definitely been other ways to try and emulate what the Kaiser wants to achieve, right? We've seen Ziggs been popping up a lot more as well now.
Yes.
And there's also the potential for a Varus if you want to try and go that direction as well.
Do it. Do it. Do it.
Would they
We got
dare
Bio,
look at
very
an Malphite?
serious face right now looking at champions.
Yeah, look at the difference
God,
between
he's
two AD carries,
intense.
or two top laners rather.
Okay. I'll fight. The other one. Okay.
He's
Okay.
been told off by his coach. It's too early, mate. Can't be slamming Malphite just yet. Play the meta champions, play Cassante. And everything is A-okay. Now this becomes interesting now. Do we go into another support dilemma where we just ban away another 4 and really test the support pool of Yeosong? That seems to be where it landed. Karth is actually going to be the difference this time around.
Okay.
So having not revealed their jungler, this does scream to me that Chiefs are saying we're just going to remove any kind of carry potential.
Yeah, and it's also one of those, like, unlikely to be seen. It's not Gooby playing, but, like, your Karthus Kane style champions, right, are the two things that you'd look at here now that the Sejuani has been locked in. So anything that you think can, like, hard farm, be more efficient than you while still being a potential carry is obviously an issue. And that is something that Sully would abuse having seen the Sejuani locked in. So I think Karth is probably the only one that you'd really ban here. I don't think he'd be a Kane player.
No. There is Varus though, so I'm happy to see that at least denied away. They're sort of on the same alignment rather with me. And the Lilia actually getting banned. I jokingly said I'd love to see this played by TM, but obviously we know that Sully can do it as well in the jungle too. It's a phenomenal champion at that, especially if you've got all these melee champions coming towards you. That is an easy lullaby to put them all to sleep.
And I wonder if that was just a really good read from the Chiefs here as well, though. The reaction from Sully spoke volumes.
It did.
I'm not sure if it was a laugh of like, I was never playing that, or how did they know? But he was obviously a little bit up in arms about it as the Aphelios comes through again. Still plenty of options here, though, to be said here for the side of the Chiefs. This would be a little bit more of an abstract one.
That would be very out of left field, wouldn't it?
Now we have
Draven
our
was
meta.
denied in the first game, mind you, so it's been hovered now. Consideration as to, well, if we want to shut down this Kai'Sa even harder than last game, we can certainly go that direction. Or if we're really looking to lean towards having a lot more engage potential, then the Ashe is the next best.
Slam the Freljord comp. Just go straight in with the Ashe Sejuani duo. Leaving open the flexibility of a Braum for your 5th pick as well for bot lane, depending on what the composition is, right? Already good into Trist, already good into the Kai'Sa. So I think that's actually, like, I like Ashe and then wait and see. For sure.
Oh!
Hey, I can hear Nat.
I can literally hear Nat in the
Nat
other room.
screaming.
A million miles away.
And that's
screaming.
jungle, right? If your son's going to lock in the Alistar, that means that Sully is playing this. And we joked about this pick a little while back and said Amumu, unironically, still a good champion.
For sure.
It's just that usually other champions do it better, like the Maokai, the Sejuani, but what if they're gone? Poppy as well, right? Like, what if it's gone? Maybe we just go back to the Amumu that still is a really prolific team fight factor, but you gave over the support 5th pick. Now you got to deal with Emilio that can stop the Alistar, can stop the Amumu, make things really difficult for you.
Well, that's exactly it, because I almost view Amumu at this state as a second fiddle to the Nico in a way, right? You've got this massive AoE ultimate, you've got obviously the mobility to get yourself in harm's way and hopefully be devastating in that regard. You've managed to get your son back in his comfort champion that was denied away in game 1. He's back in the Alistar where he looks to be his absolute best, but the Milio, the stocks are just through the roof, right? I mean, you can just cleanse out of so much.
Yeah, this is one of those games where if you're Aladoric, you're considering like QSS for yourself and just ult for your team. Amumu can't play because Milio exists.
Yeah.
Like every single aspect of Amumu has just been hard countered by a
Absolutely.
Milio pick, for sure. Which makes things tough. But still, right, if the ultimate gets burned for an Alistar stun or a Renekton stun or anything like that, then suddenly those angles exist. And this is a cleanse-centric game for sure. Milio forcibly cleansing the allies, but a Sejuani Ashe on the side of the Chiefs. You need cleanse if you're a carry on the side of Mammoth, or you run the risk of just being ruined.
Certainly will be a repeat in a way of them pulling the trigger and saying we'll find a target, we'll take them down when those ultimates are up and available. Very akin to what we saw in the Die War series, I want to say as well, where they were just chucking out those ultimates and looking to try and play around those as their sort of key strength. Are you sold on what Mammoth have done as a response? Obviously gone for the double AD carry setup. They're still going to be running it back with the Kai'Sa, where arguably Chain has looked his strongest this split, but it's going to be the Tristana in the mid lane now, and I feel like that's almost like a nice adaptation, given that Dajong seems to be in fighting form.
Yeah, and Tristana Jace is a pretty skill-heavy matchup, I've found. I've seen both sides of this matchup win. I think that having the Kai'Sa as your ADC enables the Tristana comp to be a lot stronger as well. And I think that they've just kind of locked in the best version of Maokai that they could, right, for their jungler. So frontline to stand in front of it, a survivable, if not winning top lane matchup for Tien here as well. And then engage through your bot lane. Like the Mammoth's composition, Mammoth's comp is still good.
Yeah.
Mammoth's comp is really good, but we're just here looking at this Milio 5P and saying that's nasty. Like that's the sauce for Chiefs.
That is Chiefs at the very best, right? Saving their 5th pick for Aladoric to get his run-of-the-mill and showcase what it means when those supports aren't all removed. That they have the flexibility to absolutely shut you down. Well, let's see then what happens in game number 2. Chiefs, as you can see, currently leading this best-of-3 series, 1-0. And if it were for them to close this one out, it would send Mammoth down into the lower bracket with a second lifeline. They'll be hoping to tie it up in the series here.
Sully with what I would say is close to best in slot for Amumu skins now. I know that will get me a backhand off air, but Porcelain, very nice little
Actually, no, you're
Amumu
wrong.
skin. If that's not Pharaoh, you are actually a clown.
It's a skin that our viewers do not like.
Oh, yeah, definitely not Pharaoh is the name of it, I think. Yes, Amumu, a very exciting pick. We're going to have to look forward to this one. So I mentioned this during Champ Select, Skimmy. Sejuani opens the floor to like the Karthus champions that we're talking about. Well, why is Amumu good? It's because it is a tank that can also be an AP champion. It is a tank that can also potentially be a carry. And it is a tank that clears really successfully, right? Quite fast through the Raptor campsite. Is doing a leashless start, however, here, though. Doing the blue buff with Smite into his blue side camps. He'll clear really quickly on his red side, but this delays him by quite a lot, hiding the start of this Amumu. Though he was also seen placing a ward, so they would assume he's on the top side of the map.
I'll tell you what, they'll be far better than the last time I feel like we saw it was when Mayfine had to start with the bandage toss at level 1, having done an invade and go and clear his jungle after that, and you're thinking, good luck, buddy, that's not going to be fun.
That was rough. Hookshot, Ash Tech will confirm exactly where he is and the health bar of this Amumu. Now that shouldn't be an issue because you get most of your health back from Raptors anyway. He'll be fine, but they know where he is, and Chiefs had already pushed in and crashed that bottom wave, and now if they want it to, starts to bounce back towards them. And then they find themselves safe while Amumu's on that side of the map.
Certainly do. I've known that Kevy is popping towards that bottom half of the map as well with his blue buff up to take.
Is he going to invade? Is he going to be spotted? That war timing is a tragedy.
They know he's here now though. Thought he's going to go out with a very early smite, but now is he going to fall victim to a fight as a result, as he's going to bandage toss his way to safety.
My man's as a moo before. He's not even hesitating. He's doing the croaks. What if Kevy comes over? Don't care. I'm here, mate. I'm efficient. I'm clear on my camps. Kevy's wasting time. Dajong wants to crash this. Knows that Kevy is nearby.
Trying to force out the rocket jump right now, perhaps trying to look to buffer it as well, but Dajong is looking to try and lock as long as he can. It does not matter because Kevy's taking him down. Has he baited too long? That is the question. The answer is seemingly a resounding yes, as Tien can really just waddle back to the mid-tier 1.
And you know what's crazy about that play is if it works, that's a really cool counter play because they kind of incite Kevy to come mid lane by overextending, and you know that the Amumu is not going to be there, and the Amumu is not going to have any HP. So if the Renekton comes in and counters that, that could be sick, because then you're winning in 2 areas. Your jungle is hard clearing while you're actually countering and winning mid, but they lost it. So that's a story for another day. And that time wasted by Kevy is actually money into his pockets, and a mid laner dead here from Mammoth, so they are very happy, the Chiefs.
They certainly are. Helps make life a little bit easier for Kevy to catch up in that jungle matchup. He's going to focus it into bot lane once again, and they're waiting to try and pull the trigger. So out goes the Ghost. Race looking to try and lock them down as long as they can. The volley, the barrage of damage, and the forced trade, which nets them a massive health advantage.
Look at the wave. Not just a health advantage, such an advantageous wave position here as well for the Chiefs. They can choose to hard push if they would like, and they certainly are, but if they really wanted to punish, they could have just held that there and watched as all of the experience that Mammoth aren't going to get goes awry. Nevertheless, still positive stuff here from the Chiefs. Very proactive game so far from the tank champion from Kevy.
Both junglers in the same area. And Kevy clearly hunting for Tien, might find himself a Sully at the same time as well. He's going to receive the bandage shots instantly, but Biopemp is here looking to try and really put that passive to work as the stun does go out. Sully is the target. Kiste with that accelerated shot blast, looking to try and take him down first. I'll turn our attention onto Tien as Kevy is flashing, but he is not surviving. There is the track back, and there is Kiste finally finding what that roam was meant to achieve. Now Dajong has been forced to actually rocket jump back on his head. Feigns the reset, but Sully's not here to help. He can't flash, he's already burnt it. It's just a 1v1, and Sully's a spectator.
Gonna have to jump over the wall, or he could just die here. Aladoric's gonna hit him with the fire kick. Reinforcements come through, but no gate for that shock blast. Dajong has to flash. Aladoric!
He wants the kill! He's gonna try to auto attack. He's inside the cozy campfire. And Kiste says, well done, Ali, mate. You've done me proud.
And
kill
that is an alpha. That Milio is absolutely a giga. Ray's being dope.
That he certainly is. The Ignite comes out. He's flashing away. He's going to try and really force the attention on towards him. And then go on to Chain and say, good luck diving me now. You've tried to make something happen when I have no support. And Kiste is just living in Exodia land.
And gives the kill to Kiste here as well. Double teleports from the Chiefs come in, and they are just better. You know, 6 minutes into this game, you've seen a couple of ideas from Mammoth. It hasn't been poor, but everything the Chiefs do just looks better. Kiste first here by a large margin. Aladoric already here off reset. So they're just going to get here faster. Fight goes their way even with a level disadvantage. Tien plays this really well to get that kill. Like, he absolutely does the best that he possibly can, but gets brought back in anyway. And you're left scratching your head. Dajong wants to help his team, but he could also just be taking plates in mid. So that they get really caught up in these cool ideas and they're not executing in a way that gives them enough money. Chiefs are just doing it better. They're seamless, right? They're just flowing as they move around the map. Mammoth are the ones very stunted.
In a weird turn of events, it's almost like Mammoth are playing reactive, which sounds, you know, hypocritical given they are the ones being so proactive here, but it's almost like they want those to happen so that Chiefs can come back and say, this has always been our style of play. You're just forced to respond to the pressure we're doing.
And speaking of proactive, though, from Mammoth, they try and make some kind of cross-map play here, but the Avengers assemble immediately. They protect Raze. He's got himself a safe haven there, knowing that there was no flash from Yersan. Means that he was able to flash under the turret away from the stun, and suddenly it's not going to be an advantageous position. It's felt like a very different game so far, I think it's fair to say, Skimmy, from the bottom lane of Mammoth to what we've seen from them in the past few weeks. Not what they once were.
Does, in a way, almost feel like Chiefs is their kryptonite. Yes, you can take games away from Bliss and PGG, but something about Chiefs just caused them a few too many headaches. They're going to try and force a fight onto Kisei right now. Rocket jump number 2 comes across. Kisei turns around, receives the banish toss. There is the curse of the very sad mummy.
Reinforcements, though.
And that is a shutdown that they so sorely needed, going the way of Sorely. But in comes Spy and Pepper saying it's not going to be that easy to get away with this one. What was that buffer? He's been taken out mid-air. And Bio takes him for free.
It was like a double buffer. The ultimate, the all-out bow, takes him with him. You cannot rocket jump out of that one, I guess, when it's pulled out last. But the Tristana ultimate that followed it pushed him away, so they both just moved equidistant from the initial point. Still, they get the kill that they're after. Dajong goes down. It's a trade. Chiefs now looking for the Rift Herald. I don't think Tian's going to have a bar of this one with no reinforcements nearby once he sees 2 of them. But you never know with Tian. Do ya?
Definitely don't. Yes, done in with the flash pop. He's locked down 2 so far. The heal comes out. Looking to try and zone back Sul as he does get a bit of a kick to be deterred from making anything happen. Does have the ultimate, obviously been burnt already, so a bit of a confusing play in the first place here.
Would you believe it? The Milio has a really nice effect into the Amumu. And just like that, they counter it. And I still think we look at this draft and we scratch our heads at Amumu when Milio was up. Very well done by the Chiefs, though, still hunting.
They still are hunting as the Killer Instinct goes in, raised the focus, and Chain is really keen for that kill, but Yerson doesn't have the range anymore. He's already burnt that flash pole. He has to watch the Ashe run away.
Raze too slippery today, it feels like. Not going to be able to actually find him, not going to lock him down. They try and dive, the teleports come in, they try and gank him. Emilio denies that one. They look for the follow-up fight with the Kaiser ultimate. He's just able to simply run away with Ghost. Cannot find their target. No cleanse in mid lane means Dajong has a big target on his head for a Sejol.
And he certainly does. Then locked in midair. You can buffer that one, but still stunned up, taken down. And then Kisei puts the icing on the cake. Focus really has been turned towards the Tristana now. You said it was going to be a skill matchup. Well, very lopsided now.
Yeah, it's hard to express that skill matchup when there is a lot of intervention from other members of both teams. Kisei, of course, still required to hit the Gate Shock Blast skill shot there is Sully. Sully with ult. I was wondering if he'd commit to that play. He's going to actually let the wave go. He's going to just stop himself. So I feel like all of him wanted to fight that one, to be honest. No ult on Bio for the moment, but it'll be up pretty soon. So I think this is a nothing. Trade, what do you do, Skimmy, in this situation? It feels like Chiefs have such a strong hold, strong grasp on the way this game's getting played out.
I will say I respect the fact that Mammoth does continue to try and press forward and find ways to get back into this one. They certainly aren't just rolling over here. It does feel like a game that is following a very similar narrative to that of game 1.
They're hunting, but they don't know they've been spotted until now. The control ward reveals that. That Amumu bandage toss was tantalizingly close, but look at the counter.
Same for the ultimate on either end. Really there is Dajong is stuck and he's running to the support of his bot lane, but then Sully goes with the ultimate, flashing across the wall and says, actually, we baited you. They turn their attention to Kisei and they will finally take down the Jays. Make it 2 as Aladora gets next. And then goes Raze, and Tien said, I've had enough of this one. I want to win. I want to go to a game 3. And he TP's in for 2.
Yeah, amazingly here from Mammoth that they not just turn that around, but are wildly successful with that skirmish. So many kills go their way. This is on vision. Chiefs are choosing to take this fight. Chiefs know full well where they are, what they're looking for here, but Sully finds the correct target. He goes onto Alodoric. He stopped him from having an impact on protecting his team. The fire kick goes wide. They find their second target when they engage on the Kisei, and then Tian comes through with a flanking teleport. And once again, so successful for Mammoth, but Chiefs choose that venture.
Doesn't get any better than that for a Renekton to TP in C2 squishy members and just slice and dice them up as easy as you like it, and now return to lane and say, Bio, this is not going to be me 1 and 6 in lane. I am going to be a little bit stronger. And I am looking to try and keep ourselves back in this one. I mean, quite honestly, that's actually put Mammoth back in the gold lead.
Yeah, this has been a really good little turnaround from Mammoth. I mean, first and foremost, Tian has been playing pretty well all game. His early mid-roams are looking at Kisei, but there's reinforcements.
They still won it though, Rusty. Glacier proves them locking down Yerson, the cozy campfire there to try and give them a bit of extra range as Kisei is the focus and he is the one taken down. Mammoth have started to find a way back into this 12 minutes in. It is Sully hanging on by a hair's breath and he gets absolutely wallbanged with the ultimate there. Tian once again, however, on the flank. No flash this time.
No Kai'Sa though. I don't think they actually want the fight here. They just want to keep them entertained and buy some time. Herald to be summoned, so might be able to have a factor in this, but Kai'Sa pushing bottom is just going to go for the turret himself. So this is the ultimate goal here from Mammoth. See if they can break bottom while holding on to mid. And it looks like they will be able to do so.
TP is going to deter that as Kisei returns back to lane. Herald successfully summoned in the mid lane, dropping a whole host of plates as they'll turn their attention as a contingency as 4 members strong. Make it 5 if Kisei entertains it to guarantee Drake number 2 goes their way. All starts the mid lane.
And Kisei, very clearly the target. Flashless, of course, is going to be looked at. The reinforcements are here, though, and immediately a no ult on an Alistar means an Alistar removed from the fight. Dajong jumps forwards here. Flashes himself out and very nicely executes himself around the team fight, but Sully's just stuck. There's just no way out. I mean, Raze even at that point could have considered the arrow at Dajong instead and gone for a greedy second with how out of the fight Sully was. But I will say, speaking of Sully now, as he deploys back out with his demonic embrace, he has that ultimate.
He certainly does. He's going to be that menace, like you mentioned before, the Maokai style of being your AP. He's trying to be a bit of a carry from a tanking position. He's going to add up. Here's a case for Mammoth. We're going to continue this pressure, this sort of momentum they've just found in the last few minutes of play.
My thinking at this point as well is if you take a second to actually take stock of the composition that Chiefs have, one of the reasons that Jace Kai'Sa is so dangerous, we might be holding that conversation depending on what happens. One of the reasons that Kai'Sa Jace is so dangerous is because the Kai'Sa can build ability power. Having Kai'Sa Ashe and the Cassante as your top laner, your only magic damage right now is a Sejuani, with maybe a bit of extra, of course, that Aladoric can provide for the squad. It means that a Mumu can go for Demonic Embrace, and Renekton can go for this Gore Drinker, but then it's just armor. And then you start to become really tough to deal with. So if this is an even game state, once we hit 2 full items done from each of these teams, Mammoth's comp gets pretty dangerous because they're very hard to kill. And I think it's a little bit too early to have some kind of lethality items, not lethality, armor pen items there. It's going to have to be a super early, Kraken Slayer. Consider the early Last Whispers as well if you want to be able to keep up with them for the 2 item spike.
100% going to be looking to try and tech into some of that AP from the items alone, right? Be it the Kraken Slayer, the Wit's End, for instance.
Which makes the Duskblade pretty tough.
Yeah.
Because that's not an Eclipse, right? That's not some kind of armor pen item. More of the ability haste here, and that's where armor can actually be quite efficient for the side of Mammoth. But we'll see where they choose to go. They may not itemize into that. They might prioritize damage for themselves, and to be fair, the damage is working.
Certainly has gotten them back into this one now with a near 1k gold lead after having really been running around the map for the first, 13, 14 minutes off this game. Vipen for now, the recipient of another gank as Yersa returns to bot lane and is just looking for that, basically goes to the flash pole eventually. I was thinking he's going to hold his nerve and just go for the headbutt pole, but really wanted a hard full set. Bo just flashes away and says,
Top's fighting right now.
Sure.
We should be watching this.
Certainly should be, as Dajong finds his death. Number 5 now. And Rage just hooks away with a double. He's now 4-1.
And Kisei is dead, and I think we all know what happened. I think the fact that a Tristan and a Mumu don't have ultimates and Kisei is dead says a lot. But the cost was really high, and once again, the reinforcements from Mammoth just come on through. And I'm looking at Yersan walk bottom during all of this, and I don't understand. I genuinely do not understand. They'll come in. It's a really nice play from Mammoth on the top side of the map to get that initial kill, that Ashe arrow into Sedjolt combo though. Like, Dajong's just doomed. And he's just going to get chased down by the Ghost. And you can see what happens here, right? Very nice little trade back from the Chiefs. Why is Alistar fighting bottom when your team is doing that top? It's not even not on the same page. My guy's in a different book right now.
It does feel a little bit peculiar given that, it's going to take Renekton and Cassante already a sizable amount of time to try and find Leaf on one another.
There's just no reason to make multiple plays at the exact same time and let the Chiefs counterpunch. Because that counterpunch hurts you. That loses the game if you're not careful. Very confusing. Genuinely baffling.
Certainly has made sure that Raze is sitting
Ooh,
very pretty because
Jaya.
he's just raining down chain in the lane, isn't he? Shock Blast secures it.
Well.
And an ult to guarantee that Yosun's forced to pop one of his own. They will definitely be taking this mid tier 1. They've hard forced it. You've lost members, you've lost health, and you're losing structures. As they won't settle for one turret, Rusty, they'll take 2.
I mean, you've got a collapse right now from a Renekton and a Tristana, but that's a little bit early if Sully wanted to make the play. So it seems like he's just trying to push them away from the turret. See if they can stop them from getting 2, and that much will be successful. But Chiefs don't particularly care anymore with this AD carry matchup. Ash Milio just runs away with it. Raze and Aladoric, if ever there's a point that he's in auto attack range, Raze just sprints you down.
I mean, I'm terrified once Trinity Force is complete, right? Between that and the Aladoric, or rather the Milio buff.
And I like that we're seeing these two active on the same screen. Sully and Darjung trying to be proactive, trying to make these plays happen. The rest of Mammoth have now grouped up a little bit more. Teleport comes through, so they are hunting for this 5v5. But a flashless Yosan.
They certainly are. It's going to be the Pulverize with the Biopember so far, not the target they're after. The Sejuani passive on towards the Herald. Looking to try and stun it down, make sure it finds literally 0 value. All the control in the mid lane right now, but Kissy gets free reign to hit them with the Shock Blast as they turn our attention towards the Dragon. Dragon number 3. Not the most decisive one, but everybody's here for it.
Kaiser split from the rest of the team right now. Does have the ultimate to reposition. He's on a flank angle. Yersan also just sitting on vision. No sweeper to use in the bush, it seems like. It's just going to be obvious. They're just going to know he's there.
Yeah, and Kevy's going to instantly jump across and take that fight. Force him to go the long way around. He also the chain, instant cleanse, taking no chances, but he was hot on the trigger. Now Sully stunned up, hits the ultimate, but it just was not enough. 1-for-1 so far. Raze is still living. He's already burnt the flash. And he's taken down 2 with him. Darjun goes in for Kisei, but Kisei gets the reset. Raze finds a 3rd. And he's just a little bit too strong at this point. There is kill number 4. And there is the ace for Drake.
And Raze is simply the moment right now. He's able to just run down these team fights. Mammoth with no way to deal with him whatsoever. You want to Amumu engage? We'll get ready for the counter from Aladoric. They know exactly where this Amumu is going to be. So as long as Aladoric's not the one being targeted, then they have the counter. He runs away. He uses the ult. Raze now starts auto-attacking. They find Kisei. They find Biopanther. But meanwhile, still freely auto-attacking is an Ashe that if left unchecked will just 1v9 these skirmishes. Kisei even miraculously gets to win the 1v1 and survive with a sliver of health. But no one can deal with Raze.
They certainly can't, and that was even before the Trinity Force was complete. Now that's been acquired as Zeal as well. The uptime, the rundown potential is just going to be insurmountable, and you can see right there from the total gold that he's got 9,000 to his name, just really in a league of his own.
Is the absolute king. They're hunting for a kill though.
They certainly are. They're trying to take down Aladoric, but he gets himself out of harm's way. The kick to knock back Darshung and bait him and say, you've taken me, but at what cost? He's leaped away, but Kisei still keen. Unable to find it now, though, because Vision has been denied, but now Raze is involved in the fight, and as long as his front line is there, he is delivering big amounts of damage. The ult goes out, the turnaround, Sully jumps back in, instantly flashing out as he regrets it. But Chiefs smell blood in the water, and Raze with the ghost active once more. He wants the uptime, he wants the kills, he wants the punishment potential. Ace into another one would be the dream, but Kisei this time does go down. By taking a fight of his own, he'll take down 1. He is still living, and he'll get a double as they'll find another ace.
And look, a 4-man Amumu ultimate, and these combos are hitting, but if you cannot kill Raze, you will not win the team fight. And that's with the rest of the Chiefs standing in front of him. Biopanther seemingly unstoppable in his own right. And Kisei's damage output still incredibly high. This is one of those skirmishes that takes place without those ultimates fully ready, though, from Mammoth. Aladoric not able to be converted into a kill easily. Requires the entire life bar of Darjung in the first place. Biopanther comes through. Once Raze is here, these tanks now have a purpose, right? They now have bodies to stand in front of their carry. Raze will start to put down the DPS once he finds his opportunities. That was gifted by a really nice play from Biopanther there with the Q3 as well. And note that Sully does hit a big ult here on the disengage. He's able to find all of them, and Cheon is freely hitting. Darjung jumps forward for this with the resets, but Raze is full health, and Biopanther is just living forever.
skirts the line there. You saw him down to 5%, but just able to take down 2 in the process. Just live, defy expectations despite how squishy he is with that ultimate active.
I just want to quickly remind you, Skimmy, that my earlier point about armor being valuable, show me where the armor is. Razor's got his Trinity Force, he's got his Kraken, he's happy, he's ready to go. He's 1v9ing these team fights. Jason's that physical damage mid laner. Ash Arrow comes through on the Sully.
It's just a guaranteed kill out of the Ash Arrow into the Sejuani passive stun. And Kevy looking to find you. Peekaboo, Dajong. You're not going to be allowed to go back to base this time. You're going to try and rocket jump away, but you're merely delaying the inevitable. There is the headshot. There is the frozen demise, if you will. And that is just Chief showcasing that in this series we will be 2-0ing.
Yeah, I think the face of Sully speaks a lot here for how this game has been going, right? It's not this insurmountable goal difference, but 23 minutes in, it certainly feels like it. And their comp is struggling to find its feet. They've been forcing these plays that don't really work just to see if they can make it happen. Chaeyoung right now, I mean, if you kill Raze, you get so much money that suddenly any turnaround is worth it, but you can't do that with a Mumu dead. So now he's finally back, he's 11, he has the ultimate. No flash though, and Emilio to counter you. This is tough, but you can see Mammoth. They're desperate, they want to make this happen.
Well, it's looking like a do-or-die situation right now. Tien on the widest playing possible, really hoping that he can find access onto Raze. That is the focus right now. The stun comes out instantly, the Breath of Life counters it. He's running away, Kevy's in trouble. Raze gets assassinated! Chaeyoung's found what he's been hunting for all game long. The flank Tien's worked out. They found 2 so far. Their base is in ruins, but they've pushed back Chiefs. They've bought themselves more time. And perhaps there is still more left in the tank.
I mean, they lose 1 inhibitor. They will not lose anything further. They'll get 1,000 gold into their pockets for the death of Raze, who will have his flashback up in that next skirmish, but they get money. They do what they can. They force the play, but they force it successfully. And the reason for that success is Tien on this flank. Kevy's the only target. He's the closest target, and he's the only target. The control ward through, Raze just finds a crocodile. Surprise straight on his face. The reinforcements are instant, but the damage was done. The stun was there. The Void Seeker from Chaeyoung followed by the ultimate. Very well played from the AD carry of Mammoth. But that's the type of play you're hoping to see 15 minutes ago almost, and we're only 24 minutes in. Feels like it's been an eternity, but there is still fight in Mammoth.
That certainly does feel the way, given they were down such a sizable amount, close to 10,000 of a deficit, to claw it back like that. Is it the beginning of a turnaround here? Obviously, you're still looking at a monumentally strong Chiefs lineup. Massive item disparities everywhere you turn. So playing yet another dragon, add that one to the kitty cat, but I mean, ultimately, you are still looking at Raze at 12k gold, and Shane really hoping you can catch up.
I still think Tien having a very good game for himself. Ash Arrow is going to go top lane. They are going to find a target.
Certainly are. Australia's as well to make sure it's all going to happen. Sully jumps into this one and realizes I'm surrounded by so many members, but there is no backup squad arriving, and I'm just going to fall down for free. Certainly is going to look nice on the damage done graph, but that's about it here as Kevy also finds himself stuck behind, well, really behind enemy lines here, instantly flashing away, and he's going to have a much more successful time of living.
Yeah, he's a very tanky boy. They're not going to be able to lock him down. The second they couldn't block the Q to safety, they will simply let him walk away, whether they like it or not. Of course, having that red buff there, or a lot of health regen, at least in the pockets, he'll be perfectly fine. All things considered, once again, Mammoth need to fight around their jungler. They need their Amumu alive. They need either a flank from Renekton or a big ult from Amumu. But the thing is, you watch this game back. You watch the next team fight if you want as well. It's probably going to be the same thing. Alidoric will see Sully and will just walk away. Every single time, he will just skirt the edges of a fight. So if Amumu doesn't have flash ultimate to lock down this Milio, he's just so countered, it is unplayable.
Certainly seen on a few of those occasions when that has really lined up perfectly for them. It has been just, as you say, that direct counter, and you're just stuck, really feeling quite useless. Very short TP coming out here. It's going to allow them to group up and really press for time, make sure that Dajong is nowhere to go. Surrounded by the entirety of the Chiefs. He's going to be taken down for free. And it's going to come at a pretty devastating time, because once he respawns, Baron is up.
Yeah, look, Mammoth are just exploding at the moment. Chiefs have run of the map. Anywhere there's an Ash Arrow to throw, someone's going to die. And if it's not an Ash Arrow, it's the flank from a Cassante or a Sejuani ultimate that comes through. They just have so many options, so many angles. They're just so strong and so far ahead that it's really easy for them to do. Mammoth now with their one lane, not with priority, but their one lane in mid.
Mid lane is illegal, isn't it, right now? Yerson flashing away instantly with the Unbreakable Will, and he's not going to be knocked on back, but says, here, have the Sully ultimate, let's see if we can try and make anything happen, but just gets countered by the ultimate again. Ray's going to run you down and say, you're not going to be provided any kind of safety because I've got vision, I've got range, and I've got lockdown potential. Kill number 3, there we go, looking for the 4th, and looking to end it right here and now. It is going to be TN, who falls victim to his lane opponent in BioPanther, and surely now Chiefs feel strong enough, feel calm enough to end this game as they turn their attention towards those Nexus turrets and look to put that nail in the coffin. 1-0 in this series, make it 2 as both the favorites, and in this occasion, the reigning champions, are going to clean sweep their opponents.
And once again, Skimmy, back-to-back games, Chiefs will have more kills than there will be minutes on the clock. And they will dismantle Mammoth. You said maybe it's Kryptonite, and I feel like that much is certainly proving to be true. Chiefs, another day in the office for them, and Mammoth just cannot go toe-to-toe with them. There's something about this Chiefs matchup that just gets so far into their heads. They play aggressively, it gets countered. They play passively, they get completely owned by the aggression of the Chiefs.
Yeah.
There's no way in for them. They're struggling.
It's bizarre for me. It really is. The fact that, yeah, they can look so polarizingly different into a certain matchup when you're thinking, okay, you know, give it a run for your money. And maybe it is a little bit them being in their own heads a little bit too much about, in a way, maybe showing too much respect to your opponent, because there's no way you go into a matchup against PGG and Bliss and look so different compared to Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key factor for that one, oh, sorry, the key evidence in them potentially being in their own head is the player cams. You kind of see it throughout, like, the way that this game 2 plays, and even just the smallest of kills, whilst it's not the reason why the game ends up turning against their favor, it is enough that they're kind of reacting in a way that feels like it. Dajong gets caught out once or twice. He feels like he's sort of thrown the game a little bit, or maybe it's all over for him, but it wasn't the case. The early game here was much cleaner from Mammoth. I do like some of the changes that happened, despite maybe what you just saw on your screen there.
That broke my mind. You can see, obviously, for Dajong frustration as well. Even Rusty was like, oh, I guess that's how that works.
Yeah. It is very unfortunate, but give me a little bit more, Max, a little bit more in-depth analysis about why this game looked slightly better for Mammoth despite not being a win.
I mean, slightly better for Mammoth. They still got absolutely steamrolled. I think that, to me, it is just another case of them getting to 5v5s versus the Chiefs, and then their engages not coming together concisely. Raze and Aladoric, this Ash Milio is basically a perfect counter to something like the Amumu, right? You got this AoE engage, but Raze was untouched in all these fights, and to me, this is the thing that really got to Mammoth, was the lack of flanking, the lack of ability to actually get on top of this Ash. Sure, they were able to find kills onto the Jace who was jumping in, but this Ash Milio in sustained fights is just going to pump out the damage.
And that's the true difficulty, though, right? If Ash is fed and your job is to engage on Ash, you actually have to engage on Milio, and if she's even further back, you just can't find angles, right? Like, it doesn't actually exist. This way in doesn't exist, bar like the perfect teleport flank that we saw from TN as their only real way in. And that's just because the Chiefs were so far ahead, they're like, yeah, no, just run at them, right? And that's where the angle came about. It was so tough for Mammoth.
It is tough. I do like the change-ups, though. They had more ways to initiate for themselves, more ways to engage. It is just unfortunate that Chiefs are expecting that. They were able to counteract that in their draft. They knew how to deal with it, and of course, that is why we are seeing these post-game stats looking the way they are. I mean, Ash, Jace, putting out the damage for their team, that goal difference as well. Once Chiefs started to got going, it was all downhill, literally, in the goal difference.
I mean, this and game 1 were very similar in the sense that the early game was going very well for the Chiefs, then suddenly they sort of just got bored a little bit. They started losing random fights, they started losing picks, and then slowed down, and then suddenly they just win a massive team fight back-to-back, and the game sort of picks up. So, to me, this is a Chiefs who look very, very scary at the start and the end of the game, and if they clean up that transition period, they look unstoppable.
I also just need to say, I'm so sad to see Amumu lose, but so happy to see Amumu picked.
It was so crack up because we're talking here, right? Obviously, sound padded earphones on, and obviously you're so far away in another room removed, and we just hear, yeah!
Yeah,
thinking,
Max was like...
I got jump scared when the Amumu pick came out.
He got IRL jump scared. It was great to see it. I like something, you know, a little bit out of the box, something different. I like to see them try, despite the fact that it didn't work out for Mammoth. But a 2-0 for Chiefs, it means it's time for our post-game post-game interview. Aladoric is on the line, I believe. So, Aladoric, how are you feeling? Is this just that expected 2-0 win for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we always expect to go into series to win, but I think we played pretty good today, so pretty happy.
What would you say was the biggest strength today, just upon a quick reflection?
Definitely our comms today were like really like quiet and like not quiet, but like calm. So it was a big improvement from the other weeks, I'd say.
And can you speak to your matchup versus Mammoth? Because obviously the first time you met them in the split, you just walked all over them, and today was pretty much a repeat of that. Do you think it's just the matchup, or do you think there is actually that huge gap in terms of skill between the two teams?
I think we just match up pretty well to them, like everywhere.
Is that
Pretty
like
much, that's it really. Like
when it comes to like lanes, are you talking about that matchup, team fights, the way you're able to draft with champions? You've kind of always got their number.
kind of just the way both teams want to play.
Okay.
I feel like it's kind of similar, but I think we're just better at it. So yeah, that's it really.
Now, while both games were pretty clean, there were patches towards the middle of both games where you guys sort of let it get a little bit out of hand and making some plays, you know, towards the tier 2 mid lane, getting a bit over-aggressive. Is this something you guys are conscious of, and how do you reel yourself back in after you notice it's getting off track?
Yeah, it was definitely something we were talking about and we're conscious of. How do we reel ourselves back? We just talk about what's next, really. Like, if something bad happens, or like we make a mistake, you don't dwell on it. You just talk about like what's the next step in the game to like progress the game.
And speaking of your next steps, you guys go on to match up against Bliss for the manyth time this split. How are you feeling for this reiteration of the matchup?
This is actually the second time we versed them this split, or third because it's a tiebreaker. But feeling pretty confident. I feel like the other week when we lost the tiebreaker, that was like not really us. Like we played quite poorly. Our comms weren't good. It was just an off day. I've been sick for like 3 weeks now as well, but I'm getting better. So it's a lot easier to talk now. Feeling very confident going in.
Good to hear.
Nice. I do want to talk about this series drafting a little bit more, obviously, as much as you're comfortable giving away. I want to know, with letting through so many OP champs, is this just you did it because you're comfortable coming up against Mammoth? Is it this patch 13.13 that's changed that way for you guys? Or is it just this playoffs, that's what you want to do, and it's also something that might be continued on into your Team Bliss series?
Not giving too much away. We're just confident against anything and everything. We have our own style. We have our own picks. Just whatever everyone's comfortable with. Like everyone's confident on what we do, what we pick. So, yeah.
Awesome. I love the answers. Aladoric, thank you so much, and congratulations on the 2-0 today.
Thanks, guys.
See ya. I know we wouldn't get too much, but it really was that they are comfortable. Like, at the end of the day, it's what we talked about at the end of game 1. He's just sort of confirming it, or really like bringing up this idea that no matter what happens, we will have a way to counter it. If you want to think outside the box, we've got a way to counter it. If you want to go OP, we got a way to counter it. So confident in what they pick for themselves and confident in what they come up against.
Well, I mean, it already seemed like it today, right? The Milio into the Amumu counter.
Yeah.
I think they just had a really great read on that, which we weren't expecting to come out whatsoever. So this is certainly a team, and you know, Babbitt behind the scenes as well, able to add an extra layer to that draft prep and stuff that they're ready for.
Babbitt backstage saying, "This is Emilio angle guys."
Emilio
Depressed.
just lock it in. He's like,
Okay.
please no.
Dude, if I was Sully and I locked in a Mumu and I'm hype and I see an insta lock Emilio, I'm dodging.
Yeah.
Like, that's totally who I dodge. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is doomed. Like,
This time you actually mean it. You're just dodging.
Yeah.
Unlike before.
I
when
was
it
actually wondering if he would go cleanse this game. Like you were talking
Yeah.
about going in QS. I was like, if he runs a cleanse and runs it back, but didn't need to.
they were far enough ahead. Yeah, you
Yeah.
didn't have to.
Well, look, it was a great series by Chiefs. A big congrats to them. Does it make you worry then about the potential for a lower bracket run of any of these teams? Because obviously Bliss, Chiefs will eventually face off against each other. One of them to fall down. You're like, Mammoth could have done it. They didn't. Who else is going to stand up against them?
Today's games, I think, is a key indicator that no one's keeping up with Bliss and Chiefs right now. Like, the sad reality of today's games is our winners were so dominant that, like, you don't have hope for the lower bracket run. But I think a good opportunity for both of our losing teams to actually look at what went wrong today and fix it, because the good news for them is they have more time to play games out, though they're elimination rounds. They have that opportunity to actually improve to come back for those rematches.
And there is the hope, right, that with a team like Mammoth, Aldor kind of mentioned it, that they have a sort of just match up into them that goes very well. We didn't really get into specifics, but there is a hope that maybe, you know, Mammoth could play against Bliss in that lower bracket finals, and potentially that's a different sort of scenario.
Whole different kettle of fish, but that's way down the line for now, though. We got our Dare MVP for this series. It's going to be on the side of Chiefs. Do you want to put in your predictions of who's going to get
I
it?
think we need to raise our koalas.
I'm going to say raise.
All right, that was a unanimous raise. Let's see if a Twitch chat is also on the same page.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they are. Raze is going to get it over these 2 games in this best of 3. He went 25, 19, 71% kill participation, and a 30% damage share.
Game 1, that Tristana hopping all around the map, just really picking up kills whenever he wanted, and then the Ashe game, quadra kill, very close. There were a couple times where I thought he was going to get a penta, like I think he only ended up getting a double kill, but he definitely could have if they were playing specifically for it. And I think this goes to show that Raze is always someone who you can rely upon in any single game to be that threat.
It's the positioning for me when it comes to Raze. Every single time, it feels easy where you're just like, we should be going on Raze. He's the one that's doing all the damage, but the way he positions himself, the way that the whole team is able to do it, time and time again, able to execute what other teams have always failed to do.
I think for me, it was the cohesion. Like, obviously in game 1, he was just feeling himself, rocket jumping so aggressively, thinking, okay, this guy's on one today. Like, he's coming into this one saying, you know, there is a clear divide. We are the reigning champs for a reason. And I think in that second game, when we saw Alador go for the roam, then they try and force the 1v2 bot lane from Mammoth. Instant TPs, instant respect, flash by time. Not going to happen, not going to work. And it just felt very PGG-esque in this sort of same fashion where they would make those plays happen and get punished for it, and suddenly the game goes pear-shaped. So I thought Raze sort of respected that, you know, they're going to try and target me, and we're going to shut down Chain and Yerson, being in phenomenal form. And sort of, yeah, showcase that, you know, Raze and Alador are still the kings.
Yeah, I mean, Raze, like you said, he had those moments where he could have gotten a penta. Either way, it was great aces from the team. Is there a specific play, though, in the 4 games that we saw today over 2 best of 3s that sticks out as your play of the day?
Any of Kisei's Nico ults.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Genuinely,
that's good.
though, yeah. Those were
True.
insane team fights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all that sticks to mind.
Okay, Nico ults. That's you say one of the many Nico
The
ults.
first one in the river near the Drake fight.
Bingo. I think.
Spot on.
It's really awkward if it's wrong.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Bingo.
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 And it's a different game.
Which one was this one again?
Yeah, this is the one. They find Darjung, he gets the 4-man Nico ultimate.
Oh, the flash. Yeah,
Bang.
what is this, man?
Oh, you forgot about Nico, huh?
This was like one of 3 just insane ultimates he hit this game as well.
I love that he got solo killed and came back with a vengeance and was like, just bang, big ult, doesn't matter.
He had something to prove. Absolutely beautiful ultimate there. It's tough. You kind of forget about the AoE of that Nico ult. You think you guys might be split enough that he's not able to catch all 4 of you. Maybe 2 of you, but not 4 of you.
He was Tristana for like the first six minutes out of the first 7 minutes in mid lane. So maybe at a certain point that like it's Tristana. Like,
Yeah, you actually just forget.
Yeah.
You just think somehow you both picked Tristana in a competitive game.
It's me.
It's me. We got the playoffs bracket so we can continue seeing how the rest of this week. I was expecting you to hit me with the
Spider-Man.
cool.
No, I wasn't going to cool you. No, I respect your opinion.
Thank you. The
Cool.
playoffs bracket. The rest of our week is now looking out. We got our Monday here. We obviously saw our upper bracket matches. It does mean that Mammoth have fallen down to the lower bracket, facing up against PGG tomorrow starting at 5 p.m. And then with Direwolves falling down, their opponent is going to be Vertex, and that one's going to be starting at 8 p.m. Obviously, we're then going to see tomorrow who our 2 winners are that will be facing off against each other on Wednesday. We got that Team Bliss Chiefs matchup on Thursday. So you do have to wait to see those 2 teams go head-to-head once again.
They get a nice good break though, don't they? To really watch the rest of the gauntlet view of the bracket play out and then sort of get themselves ready, because whoever wins the upper bracket best of 5 is the first team guaranteed to go to the PCS playoffs, right? So obviously a ton of pressure on the line for those 2 teams. But looking at the lower bracket matchups, I think Mammoth against PGG should be an absolute banger. I feel like both of these teams are at times struggling for form, but at the same time are just so unbelievably volatile. So I'm expecting that to go to 4-3 games.
Wolf battle. The most important matchup here. Battle of the Wolves once again. A date with Destiny you could call Bliss vs Chiefs. So what about the Wolves?
Woo!
We gotta
Or
fight
maybe
each other.
Oh, Will.
I was waiting for the howl. I was waiting for
Will.
a howl to come out.
A part of me wishes my brain was faster so I could jump in and stop that, but I literally have nothing else for the wolf battle.
Cool.
Have you seen this TikTok, mate?
Have you seen it? Hey, let me show you guys a wolf TikTok.
Just describes it perfectly. Really
Which is-
hits the nail on the head.
That literally is like
I'm surprised you
that,
didn't.
that cat is gonna be Twitch chat, and I'm gonna be the other one, just like replaying the same cat meme over and over again. You guys will learn to love that meme by the end of this week. But it's the end of our Monday. It's the end of our day 1 of playoffs. It's 5 days of action. Tomorrow is starting nice and early, the same time that today started. So we will see you then on Tuesday for those lower bracket games.
We want to try and keep them humble as Liv jumps in first ball, scopes of a world of pain, continues to press them forward, and says as long as his counter-strike's active, I'm unkillable. Zhonya's complete, another stasis, another charge, in another leap in, another chance to get the kill, the finish, the flash, the rip back and the double. Levis has had enough of it. He's claimed a triple kill, he's done 6,000 damage, locking down Shaka.
Silas got reinforcements
Showcase
though
that he's got a
nearby.
hook of his own, so that means it's a one-man grand entrance. There's Liv wrapping around it, stays there untouched, and it's Limus now joining the fight completely on his own as well. Sidesteps the Emperor's Divide, walks up, and but he's not a fight for quickness there, not going to be deterred by what Decoy is trying to dish on out, and it's just reset City.
Still being done here by the side of them. 3,000 health means they have to turn. They're looking.
Certainly are, but Pop blast and flashes in and hits everybody as Kisei easily takes down Sully. Kivy gets in as well and gives Cheon his force to fight onto Kisei right now. Rocket jump number 2 comes across. Kisei turns around, shoots the banish toss. There is the curse of the very sad mummy.
Reinforcements though.
And that is a shotgun that they so sorely needed, going the way of Sully. But in comes Spine Pepper saying it's not going to be that easy to get away with. This one, what was that buffer? He's been taken out